Your eyes skim 3 lines and bounce. The cursor blinks like a metronome for anxiety. Your jaw tightens. You scroll apps you don't even remember opening, the way a hand keeps reaching for snacks you didn't mean to eat. Time dissolves into tabs. Somewhere inside your chest, there's a tug-of-war between the part of you that wants to make something real and the part that wants relief right now. The room feels a degree warmer. Your shoulders rise by instinct. The project waits, heavy and silent, while you promise yourself that after one more quick check, you'll start. Sound familiar? Here's the promise. You will build unshakable focus without wrestling your willpower. You'll install focus like an operating system that boots automatically, even on a tired day. The modern myth says focus is a personality trait. It's not. Focus is a system of cues, chemistry, and friction. When you feel scattered, it isn't proof you're weak. It's proof a predictable sequence has unfolded. Your amygdala flags uncertainty as threat, your prefrontal cortex loses leverage, and your reticular activating system, your brain's filter, starts letting in anything that looks like comfort or novelty. We won't lecture you on circuits. We'll steal back control by shaping what those systems see first, and by making the next wise action the easiest physical move in the room. Begin with the frictionless focus loop. Think of it as a 3-part dance your brain can't resist. Anchor, narrow, produce. Anchor is a 1-minute ritual that signals safety to your body. Narrow is a 30 to 90-second window where you shrink the world to one target. Produce is the smallest visible output you can make before your brain tries to renegotiate. The loop is not a pep talk. It's a doorway. You'll run it so many times that it becomes background music. Try the anchor now. Place both feet flat. Feel the weight through your heels and the ball of each foot. Inhale for a slow count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Do that twice, then whisper, not loudly, just enough for your ears, "This is the next brick." That phrase matters because your nervous system calms when a task sounds finite. We're nudging your vagus nerve with the long exhale, and we're handing your prefrontal cortex a target it can actually lift. The science is simple. Longer exhale tilts the body toward parasympathetic calm. Naming the next brick tells the brain where to send glucose and attention. You don't need a lab coat to feel it. You just felt your shoulders drop a centimeter. Now for narrow, pick a 2-word target. It might be outline intro, email draft, or model V2. 2 words force clarity. Set a 60-second timer. During that minute, your only job is to carve the first inch. Open the doc. Type a working title. Write the first sentence, ugly and true. This is not work ethic. It's neuroeconomics. When your brain sees movement, dopamine rises enough to tip the balance away from distraction. You're replacing the thrill of checking with the relief of progress. If you notice your eyes skitter, return to your feet, exhale long, and re-utter the brick. You're not failing, you're looping. Then produce. Define what visible means before you begin. 1 paragraph, 3 bullet points converted into 2 sentences. A rough sketch box on the page, a test that fails. Your basal ganglia love closure. The moment a micro outcome becomes visible, your system marks the loop as worth repeating. The loop does not care about your mood. It doesn't need you to be inspired. It asks for 1 brick, 1 breath pattern, 1 visible inch. In a fluorescent conference room, Nia watched the clock crawl. She had 30 minutes to shape a pitch deck and her attention was a kite in shifting wind. The sales lead wanted numbers yesterday, her phone flashed group chat pings, and a colleague's laughter leaked under the door like static. She felt the hot bloom under her collarbones and the dull ache behind her eyes. Nia tried the classic fix, just focus, and it evaporated. She remembered the loop, feet flat, 2 rounds of 4-4-6. This is the next brick. 2-word target, slide outline. 60 seconds to narrow, she wrote 3 blunt slide titles: problem, cost, path, visible product, a draft list in the deck. The dopamine nudge arrived like a sip of cold water. The next loop slid in easier. 90 minutes later, she had a deck that wasn't perfect but was undeniably real. The sales lead never learned there was a small ritual behind it. Nia did, and she kept it. Notice your body again. The chair presses against your thighs. The skin at the base of your neck feels a little cooler than your cheeks. Your tongue rests against the roof of your mouth. Let your exhale lengthen by 1 count. This sensory check is not indulgence, it's a steering wheel. Attention returns to where sensation lives. It's hard to be hijacked by a phantom when your awareness has a hand on the wheel. There's a second tool you'll carry everywhere: the focus field. A field is the immediate space that either drags you into focus or leaks it drop by drop. You won't rely on willpower if the field pulls for you. Build it in 2 layers, physical and cognitive. Physically, make the next wise action stupidly easy. Put the document you need dead center on your desktop and full screen it. Place your notebook open to a half-filled page so the pen has a landing strip. Move your phone 2 arm lengths away or flip it face down behind you. The minutes you save are small, the signal is huge. Your nervous system reads the environment faster than you read advice. Cognitively, write a 9-word brief before you start. Today I deliver X for Y because Z matters. That sentence tells your RAs what to admit and what to ignore, and it starts your session with meaning instead of noise. Do a 1-minute focus field reset right now. Stand or sit taller by a centimeter. Close the tabs you don't intend to use in the next 15 minutes. Put 1 distracting object out of sight. On a sticky note or in the first line of your doc, write the 9-word brief. Whisper it. Feel the air against your lips. Watch how the room shifts when a sentence turns on the lights. Here's the objection you might feel: shouldn't focus be harder? Isn't it supposed to burn? You were taught to equate effort with worth, but the brain runs on conservation. If the shortest path to micro-win is paved, you'll take it. If it's blocked by friction, unclear starts, cluttered fields, you will slide to the nearest candy for the mind. We're not abolishing discipline, we're reallocating it. Spend it on design once so you can glide daily without a fist fight inside your head. Another breath. Notice the cool on your inhale, the warmth on your exhale. Feel how gravity is a loyal companion. Let your jaw unclench by 1 click. Your heart rate drops by a handful of beats. Somewhere a notification tries to climb the fence, but your RAS, now briefed, watches it pass like a car you didn't flag down. You are the awareness, not the emotion, not the impulse, not the ping. There's a quiet piece of science under all this that you can exploit. Your brain is a prediction engine. When it recognizes the first notes of a ritual, it predicts the rest, and readiness rises before effort kicks in. Athletes lace shoes the same way before a race. Musicians tune to the same A. Your anchor tells your body, we've been here, we're safe. Your narrow tells your cortex, we know the target, open the gate. Your produce gives your reward system something clean to stamp, do that again. Repetition doesn't make you boring, it makes you unshakable. Sometimes the storm is not in your screen but in your chest. On those days, the loop shrinks. Anchor becomes 1 breath with a long exhale and the sentence, I can place 1 brick. Narrow becomes a 5-second micro-aim, open doc, type date. Produce becomes a single sentence that tolerates being ugly. The point isn't velocity, it's continuity. Your identity learns, I don't abandon myself. Picture a garden. Thoughts are seeds, some blown in by weather, some planted on purpose. You can't stop the wind. You can choose which seeds get water. Your focus field is the watering can. Your loop is the rhythm of your hands. The garden doesn't explode into bloom because you grit your teeth. It grows because you tend it, even on cloudy days. Another sensory beat, small and specific. The slight weight of your eyelids. The faint hum in the room, maybe a refrigerator, maybe a distant scooter, maybe the soft shush of wind against a window. Your palms have temperature. Your spine has length. Let your attention be a lens that tightens, then relaxes, like a camera refocusing on the nearest leaf. A private confession: there will still be moments when you reach for your phone like it's water and find only more thirst. In those moments, don't scold yourself. Run the loop once. If you're mid-scroll, close the app, feet flat, 446 twice. This is the next brick. Two-word target, 60 seconds, one visible inch. If you can't resist closing the loop, at least do one more loop that belongs to your future self. This is not about perfection. It's about biasing your trajectory. You might wonder how long it takes to become someone who focuses without thinking about focusing. The answer is shorter than you fear and longer than you fantasize. But there's a milestone you'll feel soon. Your hands will start the ritual before your mind debates it. That's habit architecture. The basal ganglia prefer patterns that reduce uncertainty. Our ritual reduces uncertainty in under a minute. Once installed, it will run even when you're a little sleep-deprived, mildly anxious, or pressed for time. Focus stops being a moral referendum and becomes a reflex. Before we close this chapter, run the frictionless focus loop one more time with me in real time. Feet flat. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Again, whisper, this is the next brick. Two-word target, choose one now. Start a 60-second clock in your head and do the tiniest visible piece. Feel the pen scratch or the keys click. There, you did it. Notice the micro drop of ease. That's your chemistry learning that effort can be gentle. That's a victory that counts. You are the awareness, not the weather of your mind. Weather will change 100 times a day. Awareness steps under the sunbeam, then under the cloud, then back into noon, unchanged. The person who focuses without willpower isn't superhuman, they're deliberate. They shape their field, run their loop, and let identity grow from evidence. Today you began. You've installed the loop and felt its click. Now you'll wire your day so focus becomes your default state, like a phone that wakes to the right home screen every time. The mistake most people make is treating focus as a sprint, then wondering why they faceplant after 20 minutes. Your brain runs on rhythms. It asks for sequences and budgets, not vows. So in this chapter you'll build two structures, the attention budget and the Window-Widen Protocol. One tells your hours how to behave. The other rescues you when a moment tries to collapse. Think of the attention budget as money you spend on meaning. In the morning, your prefrontal cortex is flush. By afternoon, glucose and neurotransmitters ebb. If you don't assign your best currency to what matters, your habits will assign it for you to whatever pings first. The rule is simple: 2 prime blocks, 2 support blocks, and 1 play block. Prime blocks are 90-minute containers for building what you will be proud to have built. Support blocks are 45-minute containers for necessary maintenance, email, logistics, small decisions. The play block is an intentional wander, learning, sketching, reading, done without guilt because it's budgeted. This is not rigid calendar cosplay. It's a physiological truth. When your brain expects a pattern, it wastes less energy. You stop haggling with yourself. Set 1 prime block tomorrow morning. Protect it the way a pilot protects the runway. Before it starts, run the anchor and write the 9-word brief for that block. During it, you don't split your attention, you split the work into bricks. When the block ends, you end, even if you feel like staying. Stopping on time trains your reward system to anticipate another round. It's counterintuitive, but the person who stops on time returns stronger. That's because anticipation is dopamine's favorite song. There's science under this budget that you can use without getting lost in jargon. The RAS favors what it's been told to look for, and repetition sharpens that preference. Prime, support, play is a set of cues your brain can quickly recognize. After a week of that triad, you'll notice 45 minutes of email doesn't leak into your making time because the pattern itself becomes a cue. Your amygdala, which hates uncertainty, relaxes when a ritual proves predictable. No one gives you a medal for this. You give yourself a mind that doesn't ambush you. A story to make this concrete. Raj was a product manager who lived inside a swarm of messages. Every day began with Slack, then spiraled into firefighting. He told himself he'd just clear the inbox, then he'd be free to focus. Spoiler, he never was. We rebuilt his day on the attention budget. Prime block from 9:00 to 10:30 for discovery work. Support block from 11:00 to 11:45 for messages. Lunch without screens. Another prime from 1:00 to 2:30 for synthesis. Support from 3:00 to 3:45 for meetings. Play from 4:15 to 4:45 for reading one paper. On day 1, he shook. On day 3, he reported a strange calm in his chest around 8:58, like the quiet before stepping on stage. By day 7, he stopped asking, "Should I respond now?" and started asking, "Which brick belongs in this block?" His team noticed the shape of his contributions change. He delivered a prototype a week earlier than planned. He did not become a different person. He gave his brain a map. Pause and scan your present body. The air touching the inside of your nostrils is cooler than your exhale. The skin along your forearms registers texture from your sleeves. There's a settling in your belly when you lengthen your out-breath by 1 count. Focus isn't a glare, it's a stance. You don't have to squint at life to take it seriously. But even with a budget, a moment will tilt and your world will tunnel. That's when you'll use the Window-Widen Protocol. Tunnel vision is a survival feature. Your system narrows to reduce variables. Useful in a stampede, useless at a desk. The protocol restores options in under 2 minutes. 4 steps, 1 word each: pause, name, widen, pick. Pause is 1 long exhale and a hand on your chest or belly. Physical touch tells the nervous system a friendly agent is present. Name is a calm sentence. I'm having the thought that I'm behind, or I'm noticing urgency in my throat. The wording matters. I'm having the thought that creates space between you and the story. Widen is a question with training wheels. What are 3 small true actions? Pick is choosing the smallest one and doing it before your mind reopens the courtroom. Try it now on something low stakes. Exhale slowly until your belly softens. Rest your palm against your sternum. Say quietly, "I'm having the thought that my best focus is gone." That's a thought, not a prophecy. Ask 3 small true actions and let the first ones be humble. Open the doc, write the date, paste the brief at the top. Pick the tiniest, do it, feel the small click. Your prefrontal cortex just got blood back. Your chemistry doesn't need a pep rally. It needs a next move that proves safety. Sensory checkpoint. Notice the weight at the base of your skull meeting the chair or pillow. Notice the temperature of your hands compared to your face. Notice the tiny vibrations in your jaw when you whisper the next brick. Your attention, when it returns to senses, stops being hostage to fantasy emergencies. There's weather in the mind, squalls, bright breaks, long gray stretches. You are the person who can step under a small awning and choose a direction. You'll add a micro tool to the Window-Widen Protocol called the 2-light reframe. It's a trick of angle, not denial. When your brain sees only red light, stop, danger, failure, you introduce a yellow and a green. Yellow is the constraint that's true but not catastrophic. Green is the opportunity hidden inside the constraint. For example, red says, I'm late, it's ruined. Yellow says, I have 40 minutes, the draft can be rough. Green says, rough early lets feedback arrive sooner. Your system doesn't need a motivational poster, it needs plausible alternatives. The RAS, when fed 2 more lights, stops slamming the brake and starts steering. Use it in a scene. Leela, a designer, opened Figma to a brief that changed overnight. Red light, all my work is wasted. She felt heat rise near her ears, a pressure behind her eyes. She ran, pause, hand on chest, long exhale. Name, I'm having the thought that this erases my value. Widen 3 small actions, duplicate file, label version, write 3 new constraints. 2 light, reframe, yellow, some elements carry over. Green, new constraints can simplify. Pick duplicate file. That one click turned the tide. She could breathe again. 10 minutes later, she was experimenting instead of arguing with a phantom. If you want the Window-Widen Protocol to be there when you need it, rehearse it when you don't. That's how firefighters move through smoke with grace, reps in calm air. 3 times today, set a silent cue, opening a door, sipping water, stepping outside, and run a 15-second micro version. Long exhale. I'm having the thought that, name a mood, not a fault. Ask for 3 small actions. Pick the smallest wise one. Your identity learns. You are the person who can widen your options even when the room narrows. Another body check. The soles of your feet know the floor. Your ribs expand like small umbrellas, then fold. There's a slight coolness across your lips as you breathe. Your eyelids are heavier than your jaw. This is not a relaxation tape. It's a recalibration. When you lead with sensation, story follows you instead of dragging you by the collar. Now a second structure to deepen your attention budget, the gate script. It's a sentence you say before opening anything with infinite scroll. Your brain loves loops without edges, they're slot machines for novelty. The gate script erects a friendly fence. It sounds like this: I'm opening X to do Y for Z minutes. That's a contract, not a suggestion. If you break it, you don't scold yourself. You close the tab, breathe once, and rerun your loop. Over time, the script becomes automatic, and scroll holes become shallow puddles you step around. You might feel resistance to these scripts, like they're childish. That's your ego fearing the loss of drama. Drama tastes intense, but intensity is not the same as importance. You are not surrendering spontaneity, you are creating room for it later by protecting the few hours where your future gets built. A brief visit to biology again, because it's your ally. The amygdala doesn't hate you, it hates ambiguity. When you name a target and a time boundary, you reduce ambiguity. The vagus nerve doesn't demand yoga, it responds to long exhales, humming, even a gentle hand on your chest. The prefrontal cortex isn't heroic. It's tired by noon and grateful for any environment that removes friction. You're not fighting yourself. You're furnishing a house so the occupants stop tripping over boxes. A story at home, not work. Jonah, a new father, kept trying to write after his baby fell asleep. He'd open his laptop at 9:30 p.m., vow to hammer out a chapter, and flame out in 20 minutes. We swapped heroics for design. Play block right after the baby's morning nap, 25 minutes, no internet. Gate script before opening his notes app. Window widen when cries interrupted. Pause, name, having the thought that I'll never finish. Widen 3 small true actions. Pick, write 1 paragraph by phone while rocking. 3 months later, he had a messy, alive draft. He didn't power through. He switched from wrestling the river to stepping into the current at the spots that let him move. Let your spine lengthen by a breath. Feel your shoulders rise as a wave and drop. Smell the room. There's always a scent if you look for it, even if it's only dust and air. Your system learns safety from specificity. That's why I keep bringing you back to the senses. You are not a floating head. Your attention is housed in a body that listens for cues. Give it the ones that serve you. There's one more refinement, the first 15. The first 15 minutes of a prime block decide the fate of the rest. Instead of aiming for output, aim for contact. Contact is simply being face-to-face with the work without negotiation. You achieve it with a ritual stack: seat, feet, exhale, 9-word brief on screen, 2-word target typed, 1 ugly sentence written. If you do only that and stop, you still win because the next round will be easier. Make contact daily, and the fear perimeter around your project shrinks until there's little left to defend. When you miss a block, and you will run the 90-second weather rule, it says, let the emotion weather through without relitigating your character. Sit back, watch the storm for 90 seconds, label gusts as sensations, heat in face, buzzing in chest, tightness in throat. Let at least one exhale be longer. Then ask the question that moves futures: what is the smallest honorable next? Honorable keeps you aligned with values. Small keeps you in the game. Often it's as humble as schedule tomorrow's prime block or write a one-line summary of where I left off. Consistency beats ferocity over a season. Notice your jaw, let it drop a millimeter. Notice the space between your back molars. Notice the way your clothing touches your collarbones when you breathe. Attention returns to now and your animal calms. From this steadiness you choose. You are not your last lapse. You are the person who returns. You may be tempted to optimize endlessly: new apps, new keyboards, new desks. Tools are fine, but the operating system is you. The attention budget, the Window-Widen Protocol, the gate script, the first 15, these are levers inside your biology. They don't require perfect days. They require repetition on real ones. When it's messy, go smaller. When it's loud, go gentler. When it's late, aim only for contact. Let your identity gather evidence. I build in small, steady ways. You are the awareness behind the choices, not the eddies of mood that try to trick you into believing they are the ocean. End this chapter by planning one prime block tomorrow. Write the 9-word brief now, whisper it, set the start time, choose the first 2-word target, picture the first 15 seconds, seat, feet, long exhale, hand on chest, 1 ugly line. Picture the moment a distraction arrives and hear yourself say the gate script. See your hand close the tab. Feel the small pride rise under your breastbone. You'll widen your window and pick the smallest honorable next. That's who you're becoming, not a sprinter of willpower, but a steward of attention. You've built a budget and widened windows. Now you'll fortify the edges so interruptions slide off like rain on oiled canvas. This isn't a fortress of isolation. It's a sanctuary with a door you control. The toolset here is about immunizing your attention at the moment where most people lose it, the first ripple of novelty. You'll learn the distraction immunity protocol and the cue choice, checksum. One is the emergency brake, the other is the steering correction. Installed together, they make your focus feel less like balancing on a wire and more like walking a path with rails. Begin with the distraction immunity protocol. Distractions arrive in 3 costumes: outside pings, inside urges, and disguised work. Outside pings are obvious. You already know what to do with them: park the phone, bind the tabs, gate the apps. Inside urges are subtler. They're micro-sensations that pretend to be needs. Disguised work is the most dangerous because it flatters you. Let me just perfect the template before I write. The protocol meets all three with a 90-second sequence. Notice, neutralize, nourish. Notice is an honest sentence out loud, craving novelty in my hands. Neutralize is a physical move. Turn your head slowly to the left and then to the right, letting your eyes land on two stable objects. Long exhale, touch your chest. That head turn tells your nervous system the landscape is safe, ancient mammal code. Nourish is what most people skip. A tiny dose of legitimate reward after a micro-win, sipping water, a stretch, a single line of music. Once you place one brick, you're not bribing yourself, you're teaching your chemistry that progress is the sweetest candy in the room. Feel your body now. The chair backs your spine like a quiet hand. The skin around your eyes loosens when you soften your gaze. Air tastes faintly cool on the inhale, warmer on the exit. Let your shoulders drop until your collarbones feel less like hangers and more like shelves. When you sense an urge, don't outlaw it, label it. You're the weather station, not the storm. The cue choice checksum framework wraps your actions in awareness. A cue triggers the old loop. A choice inserts your agency. A checksum verifies the action matched the intention. Here's how it sounds in practice. Cue, the mind flashes, check messages. Choice, in this prime block I choose brick over ping. Checksum, after 60 seconds you ask, did I touch the brick? And you give yourself either a small nod or a reset. The checksum keeps you from drifting for 10 minutes in a haze. It's a pilot's instrument check. You don't wait to notice you're off course. You glance at the dashboard every short interval and correct with gentle hands. A scene from a Tuesday morning. Amelia, a researcher, sat down to draft a grant proposal. 10 minutes in, an inside urge pulsed. What if the reviewer hated last year's framing? Her thumb twitched toward a search tab. She caught it and ran the protocol. Craving certainty in my hands, she said softly. Head turn left, right, hand to chest. Long exhale, two-word target, draft aims. Brick, one messy paragraph. Then a sip of peppermint tea, her chosen nourish. Cue choice checksum every 60 seconds. Brick touched. Yes, the urge didn't vanish. It just lost its throne. She moved the paragraph forward. Later, in a support block, she scheduled feedback. She didn't abandon the doubt, she contained it. Your reticular activating system is trainable at the level of phrase. Introduce a RAS tuning phrase each morning that sets your filter for the day's build. Keep it short and physical. Hunt small wins. Brick before browse. Rough beats right. Whisper it with the first exhale and then plant it at the top of your document. The RAS privileges what repeats with emotion and motion. Saying the phrase while your body feels the relief of a long exhale ties meaning to sensation, and your filter sharpens. You're not hypnotizing yourself, you're handing the doorman a guest list. Notice the temperature of your hands compared to your cheeks. Feel the soft drag of fabric at your wrists. There's a part of your tongue that rests against your teeth. Let it settle lower. A hum from somewhere, air vent, distant traffic, becomes a low bed of sound you can surf rather than fight. Sensation anchors the present, and the present is the only place bricks can be laid. Another tool, the sanctuary setup. For 15 minutes at week start, you shape the physical field for the next 5 days so it holds you in focus with almost no thought. 3 elements matter: the entrance, the surface, the exit. The entrance is what your eyes meet first. Make it a single object that signals build mode, an open notebook with yesterday's last line, a sticky note with the 9-word brief, a printed diagram. The surface is what your hands meet, clear, 2 tools within reach, everything else exiled. The exit is what ends the session cleanly, an index card labeled "Next Brick" placed dead center before you stand. Sanctuary setup saves not minutes, but momentum. When Monday feels like gravel in your gears, the sanctuary makes it feel like rolling downhill. There's also the problem of disguised work. You recognize it by the flush of self-importance and the absence of output. You'll neutralize it with the task DNA test. Before starting any action during a prime block, ask, does this action create, refine, or decide? If it does none, it's maintenance or avoidance, save it for support. Create is an artifact, words on a page, code committed, design element exported. Refine is an improvement to something that already exists, editing a paragraph, simplifying a flow. Decide is choosing between options that unblock creation. The test is fast and kind. If you catch yourself polishing an icon for 20 minutes, no shame. You mark it as refine only if it clearly improves the created piece. Otherwise, it's disguised and you return to brick. Scan your breath. Inhale as if smelling rain. Exhale as if fogging a window. Feel the gentle weight behind your breastbone, not heavy, more like a paperweight keeping pages from fluttering. The floor is loyal under your feet. Before the mind narrates, the body knows. A brief story in a kitchen instead of an office. Matteo wanted to learn the guitar but kept dissolving into tutorials that multiplied like ivy. Each evening he promised 5 minutes of practice and spent 30 comparing picks. We installed the sanctuary setup on his kitchen table. Entrance, guitar on a stand with the strap fixed to his height. Surface, a printout of 3 chords, a single pick taped to the paper. Exit, an index card that said, next, switch G to D cleanly. Distraction immunity protocol for inside urges, craving novelty, hands itchy, head turn, exhale, hand to chest. Cue choice, checksum every minute. Did I switch once? The practice became medicine, not performance. 2 months later, his friend asked how he finally got disciplined. He smiled. He didn't get stricter. He made it easier to touch the strings before touching the screen. You'll meet resistance not from the outside, but from a belief that protection equals fragility. You may hear a voice that says, real focus doesn't need fences. That voice mistakes scarcity for strength. The truth is simpler, brains leak. We build channels so the water runs where we want the garden green. The sanctuary and the protocols aren't walls against life. They are grooves so that life can move and you can build in the middle of it. Introduce the novelty fast, a brief daily practice that recalibrates your dopamine. 15 minutes during which you intentionally avoid all novelty inputs. No tabs, no feeds, no messages. You sit with your work and the soft hunger for something shiny, and you run the distraction immunity protocol. It's not punishment, it's palate training. After a week, you'll notice the sweetness of a sentence landing or a function passing tests returns. You stop salting your tongue with 10 different flavors and start tasting the bread you're baking. Let your jaw unclench 1 notch. Feel the coolness at the tip of your nose. The room has its own weather, light pooling on a desk, a shadow tucked under a chair, a faint draft like a whisper across the floor. None of it requires your opinion. Your awareness can rest like a cat on a windowsill, alert without strain. From here, you choose gently and decisively. You'll also adopt an urgency map. Your amygdala confuses loud with important. The map teaches it the terrain. On a sheet of paper or at the top of your dock, draw 2 axes in your mind, impact and immediacy. For each brick you plan, whisper where it sits, high impact, low immediacy, low impact, high immediacy, and so on. Your goal in prime blocks is high impact, regardless of immediacy. If your chest throbs to fix low-impact immediacies, that's your cue to schedule them in support, not to contaminate your build time. Naming location calms the alarm. The body relaxes when the mind knows where to put things. Another scene at dusk. Priya, a data analyst, felt the squeeze of a deadline and kept hopping between dataset cleaning and reformatting slide headers. She ran the urgency map out loud. Cleaning model inputs, high impact, high immediacy, slide headers, low impact, medium immediacy. Her shoulders dropped. She set the headers as a support block task and stepped into the dataset. Cue choice, checksum every 2 minutes kept her from toggling into PowerPoint. She delivered the model, then cruised through formatting the next day with none of the shame hangover that often follows panic productivity. Her body remembered the calm of choosing. The focus contract strengthens this identity. It's a single sentence you sign at the start of a prime block. For the next 90 minutes, I will create, refine, or decide on X, and I will let the world be the world. You don't glare at the world, you bless it to proceed without you. When your mind offers, but what if there's a fire? You answer with the Window-Widen Protocol you've learned. Most fires are candles in other rooms. You check them in support. Feel the press of your fingertips together. Notice the micro-tingle where skin meets skin. Let one breath be slower than the last. If the inside weather is raining, you can still set the table. The table is your ritual. The rain can fall and you can eat. There's a final nuance to the distraction immunity protocol, the reset rehearsal. Once a day, deliberately interrupt yourself mid-brick. Stand, walk 5 steps, return, and rebuild the last sentence or line of code from the index card that says next brick. You are teaching your brain that interruption recovery is normal, not catastrophic. When real life barges in, your hands will already know the path back. Recovery, repeated, becomes confidence. Confidence, practiced, becomes ease. A confession from the craft. The goal isn't to never be tempted. The goal is to reduce the half-life of temptation. You watch the curve decay faster because you've installed graceful, embodied responses. You stop narrating your struggle as a moral drama and start describing it as physics. A force appears, you absorb it, you continue. The person who becomes reliably focused is just the person who runs systems when bored, tired, or rattled. End here with a live run. Whisper your RAS tuning phrase. Let the air glide out of you longer than it came in. Turn your head left and right, landing on 2 steady objects, hand to chest. Craving novelty in my hands. Choose 1 brick. Ask your task DNA, create, refine, or decide. Touch the brick. After 60 seconds, run a checksum. Brick touched, nod yes. Take 1 sip of water. Feel it cool the back of your throat. That's nourishment. Your chemistry thanks you with a quieter pulse. You are the awareness behind the impulse. The impulse visits, the awareness hosts and guides it to a chair. The work continues. You are not fragile glass in a noisy room. You are a lighthouse with a door you can close and open. The waves will always be there, slapping and hissing. The beam sweeps on because its mechanism is simple and serviced daily. Your mechanisms are now in place. Distraction immunity protocol, cue choice, checksum, sanctuary setup, task DNA, novelty fast, urgency map, focus contract. Repeat them and the signal gets clean. Repeat them and your days start to take the shape of a builder's life. Repeat them and the world will feel less like a flood and more like a tide you navigate. You've learned to guard your windows and ride out the weather. Now you'll lengthen the runway. Most people think focus is mainly about what happens once they've started. The truth is harsher and kinder. What happens in the 5 minutes before you start decides 90% of the session. This chapter installs the docking maneuver and the context capsule, two pre-flight rituals that make entry smooth and re-entry even smoother. You'll also tune your biology with focus fueling so the lights stay on without drama. No heroics, no chest-thumping discipline, just procedures that make attention gravity instead of guesswork. The docking maneuver is a 3-minute sequence that connects you to the task like a spacecraft clipping into the station. It has 4 touches: posture, pulse, phrase, page. Posture is 1 inch taller, feet planted, pelvis heavy. Pulse is 1 long exhale until your belly softens, then a steady inhale to a count of 4. Phrase is your RAS tuning line, short, physical, believable, brick before browse. Page is the living document you always dock to, the one artifact where the work advances. Not 10 files, not a folder tour, just the page where your next brick sits. When you repeat these touches, your brain recognizes the pattern and brings the right systems online. You're not summoning willpower, you're finishing a connection your body already expects. Feel what changes when you shift your posture by 1 inch. The chair takes more weight. Your ribs lift like blinds opening a notch. Your hands warm slightly as blood redistributes. A little room opens behind your eyes. The voice that narrates your inadequacy drops half a decibel because you gave your vagus nerve a rope to hold. This is neurology as choreography. You move, chemistry follows. Now the context capsule. It's how you carry momentum between sessions and across interruptions. Think of it as a time-proof container that holds the flavor of what you were doing so you can taste it instantly later. The capsule has 3 ingredients: a now note, a next 3, and a limbic bookmark. The now note is a 2-sentence snapshot of what you just did and why it matters. Mapped user pain points into 3 categories to shape V2. Matters because we need a clearer decision tree. Next 3 are 3 microbricks you could do next, each so small you could start them cold. Draft intro question, sketch flow of screen 2, pull last week's metrics. The limbic bookmark is the emotional thread you want to feel when you return, curious and unhurried, or decisive and playful. Your limbic system remembers states, hand it one on purpose. The capsule lives at the top of your dock. You update it at exit, not entry, so tomorrow's you finds a lit path. An anecdote where this saved a project. Sophia managed a small team shipping a feature before a conference. A crisis meeting devoured her prime block, leaving only 40 minutes. Old Sophia would have sighed, answered Slack, and called it a wash. New Sophia ran the docking maneuver. Posture, pulse, phrase, page, her specs, dock. At the top, the context capsule she had left yesterday, clarified error states, need crisp copy for 3 tooltips. Matters because clarity reduces support tickets. Next, write rough copy, check tone with brand doc, paste into prototype. Limbic bookmark, clean and kind. She felt the bookmark like a temperature, cool forehead, warm chest. No circling, no rummaging. She wrote the rough copy and pasted it into Figma, visible output. When the conference came, the help desk was quiet. There's no statistic for a hallway you didn't pace, but her body kept the score, steadier pulse, easier breath. You will get hungry, jittery, or foggy, and your brain will blame motivation. Often it's fuel. Focus fueling is not a diet. It's a timing and texture principle. Your prefrontal cortex prefers stable glucose and moderate arousal. You'll do 2 simple things: hydrate early and feed with friction. Hydrate early means 12 to 16 sips across the first hour of your morning before caffeine. The brain is mostly water, and even small dehydration mimics anxiety. Feed with friction means choosing foods that take chewing and release energy slowly before prime blocks. A crisp apple, a handful of nuts, a slice of whole grain toast with something salty. The friction of chewing wakes your trigeminal nerve. Wakefulness rises without the crash. If you love coffee, pair it with a long exhale and a phrase so your amygdala reads the jitter as energy, not danger. You're steering sensation with signal, not fighting yourself. Notice the taste in your mouth now, faint and familiar. Notice the soft glide of your tongue resting lower. Listen for the quietest sound in your room, a distant fan, a bird's syllable, a shadowy truck. Let your eyes relax to a wider field for 2 breaths, then narrow to 1 word on your screen. That shift widens, then focuses your attentional aperture. You've just made a camera of your mind. The docking maneuver pairs beautifully with a second method, the Endstate Echo. Before a prime block, you speak 1 sentence describing how the session will end in sensory terms. I'll leave with 3 raw paragraphs and a clear next line at the top. Or I'll end with the function passing 1 more test and an index card that says handle edge case. The echo gives your basal ganglia a picture of completion. The body loves finishing. When you sense resistance, the echo is the rope. If interruption rips you out mid-session, you still leave a mark. The index card on the keyboard, the sticky note at the top of the dock, the file name changed with a V1 or a date. Completion is not perfection, it is a visible edge. A quick visit to the lab. When you name Endstate, you pre-activate the prefrontal networks responsible for sequencing and stopping. Your amygdala calms because sequence implies safety. You're not biohacking, you're handing your brain its favorite toy, a predictable arc. The Endstate Echo isn't a fantasy board. It's a prophecy you can fulfill with 10 minutes if needed. That's how you break the spell of all or nothing. Sensory checkpoint. The skin at your temples is cooler than your cheeks. Your scapulae press the backrest like 2 coins under fabric. Your breath fogs the imaginary glass just before your lips. When you feel the urge to flee, let 1 exhale be the longest of the hour. That single act is like tapping the brakes on a downhill bike, enough to regain control without losing momentum. Let's fold in the rehearsal rep, a tiny practice that translates skills from calm to chaos. Once per day, run a 30-second cold start on a task you don't feel ready for. Open the doc, type the date, write 1 ugly line, close it. That's all. Your nervous system learns that beginning doesn't require readiness. Athletes visualize plays so that stress cues bring up rehearsed movements. You're doing the same for attention. On a day when life explodes, that rep will save an hour, and you won't even credit it. You'll just notice your hands started while your mind was catching up. A story with mess in it. Karim worked nights and studied for a certification by day. His schedule was a patchwork quilt. He used to wait for a real window to study. Windows didn't arrive. We built him a docking habit linked to a mundane cue. Whenever he microwaved leftovers, he docked to flashcards for 3 minutes. Posture, pulse, phrase, page, Endstate Echo, 3 cards touched, next 3 listed. Context capsule at exit. It felt silly for a week. Then one afternoon, after a 12-hour shift, his body docked on autopilot when the microwave hummed. 3 months later, he passed the exam. People congratulated his willpower. He smiled and said nothing. He knew it was choreography and containers. Your identity is shifting in the background. You're becoming the builder who treats focus like craft, not combat. You don't wait for inspiration. You don't punish yourself for dips. You design on purpose and trust repetition. You are the awareness behind the rituals, not the moods that try to commandeer them. When a craving shows up, you acknowledge it like a neighbor at the fence and return to your brick. There is a temptation to hoard frameworks. Resist it. Pick 2 as your spine this week, the docking maneuver and the context capsule. Everything else supports them. Twice a day, run docking exactly, posture, pulse, phrase, page. At the end of each session, leave a capsule at the top. Add Endstate Echo when you want to sharpen the arc. Use focus fueling to make your chemistry an ally. If you forget, you haven't failed. You've found a chance to prove the systems are forgiving. Lower the bar. Dock for 1 minute. Capsule with 1 sentence and 1 next step. The kindness of small is what keeps you moving. Take a breath and scan your face from inside. The muscles around your eyes soften when you don't try. The tongue can rest like a warm stone at the floor of your mouth. The air has a texture, silk or chalk or something between, and your ribs widen into it. Let your hands find the surface you're working on, noting the temperature of wood or plastic or metal. Your animal knows how to be here. Let the animal help. You'll add a companion to the capsule, the breadcrumb line. It's the first line you will write when you return, written now as you leave. Make it blunt, ugly, human. Write the second example even if it's cliché. Sketch the stupidest version of the flow. Refactor the function names, they're muddy. When you return, you don't stare into a blank field. You follow a breadcrumb that tastes like your own voice. If you can't find that voice, write, begin by complaining for 1 sentence, then switch to solution. Even your complaint becomes fuel if you fence it. Let's make the docking maneuver tactile. As you sit, feel your sit bones, 2 small arcs, heavy and honest. Lengthen your spine as if a string tugs the back of your crown. Drop your shoulders until your clavicles widen like quiet wings. Inhale through your nose to 4, hold for 2, exhale through pursed lips to 6. Whisper your phrase, touch the page, don't open 6 things, touch the one, trust the one. For days when panic chews at the edge of your field, integrate the 90-second window within docking. Before the phrase, place your palm over your sternum and let your exhale be audible, like a sigh you give to no one but yourself. Name what's present. I'm noticing a buzz in my chest and a thought that I'm late. Do nothing heroic. Let the 90 seconds pass like weather. Then phrase and page. You are not diluting focus, you're clearing the windshield. The car still moves. Another small story, domestic and bright. Hannah wanted to paint again after years away. The easel sat in a corner like a witness to a broken promise. We set a docking ritual on Saturday mornings tied to boiling water for tea. Posture, pulse, phrase, color over critique. Page literally the canvas. At exit, she wrote the context capsule on tape stuck to the edge. Layered blue wash. Decide between warm or cool shadows. Next, mix ultramarine with a drop of burnt sienna. Test on scrap. Block shadow on cup. Limbic bookmark, curious. The tape greeted her the next week like a friend waving from a window. She painted through the awkward, and awkward turned to alive. There's nothing mystical about a kettle and tape. The magic is repetition and specificity. A word about time of day. Your circadian rhythm nudges certain tasks into certain windows. For many, analytical focus peaks mid-morning. Creative drift opens in the late afternoon. Social tolerance runs higher early evening. You don't need a lab to notice your peaks. For a week, jot 1 sentence at lunch and 1 sentence at dinner about when your brain felt most clicky. Then place your prime blocks where clicks were common. Don't force midnight genius if your nervous system prefers dawn steadiness. You're not weak for aligning with biology, you're wise. Sensory beat. The room carries a scent, paper, soap, coffee, dust warmed by sunlight. Your toes press against fabric. Your ears collect a quiet hiss you never notice until you listen. When you slow down for 2 breaths, time thickens, and inside that thickness you can place a choice. Choice is where identity grows roots. You'll meet the litany of modern guilt. I should be faster by now. Let the Endstate Echo answer it. You end this session with something specific and small. You post the capsule, you stand, you stretch. You go outside for 60 seconds and look far enough to relax the tiny muscles that aim your eyes. That reset tells your brain, chapter complete. Then when you return later, your hands will begin before your doubts assemble. That feeling, the body beginning work while the mind is still lacing its shoes, is the quiet bliss of a life designed. If you want to push a little further, install the two-seat studio. Mentally divide your workspace into build seat and review seat. Build seat is where you dock and make. Review seat is a literal chair pivot or a different window you open only to assess. Switching seats flushes perfectionism from the build phase. Your inner critic has an office, just not in the room where you pour. Context capsule bridges the seats. At end of build, capsule. At start of review, read capsule and add 2 questions, not 10. Your prefrontal cortex loves partitioned roles. Your amygdala loves that the critic is corralled. End with a live run. Sit, 1 inch taller. Exhale longer than you think you need. Whisper your phrase, open the page, type the Endstate Echo in 1 sentence. Scroll to your context capsule and update the Now Note, Next 3 and Limbic bookmark. Place 1 brick, small, ugly if needed. Feel the keys touch your fingertips the way a tooth touches the rim of a glass, precise and ordinary. When you stop, write the breadcrumb line, stand, roll your shoulders. Take 3 slow sips of water like you're teaching your system a lullaby. You've docked, you've built, you've left a light on for your return. You are the awareness that designs the studio, not the critic that wanders through it. You don't beg for focus anymore. You practice it in a body, with breath, with phrases, with pages, with kindness. You are the steward of a garden that keeps growing because you keep showing up with a watering can and weather-appropriate clothes. The weather will change. The gardener remains. You've built rituals that hold you steady. Now you'll protect your focus in the one arena that bends most people out of shape, other humans. Collaboration isn't the enemy of attention. Unmanaged access is. This chapter installs the boundary beacon and the promise ledger so you can stay generous without becoming porous. You'll also learn the trigger-to-task bridge, a tiny move that converts interruptions into bricks instead of bruises. These aren't moats to keep people away. They are lanterns that show everyone, especially you, where the work lives and how to approach it. Begin with the boundary beacon. A beacon doesn't push people back, it guides them in. It's a short script plus a visible signal you use before and during prime blocks and in moments when someone wants your brain on demand. The script is 6 words that sound like kindness and clarity. Building now, back at time. What's needed? You say it with a calm exhale and eyes soft, not defensive. The visible signal is anything your environment can read in one glance. Headphones on the table, but not on your ears. A desk light set to warm amber. A door sign that flips to building, or a desktop status line that mirrors your 9-word brief. The brain around you learns the pattern quickly. Predictability lowers collective cortisol. You don't become the person who's forever in focus mode. You become the person whose focus has a rhythm the team can trust. Feel your body for a moment. The muscles at the base of your neck lengthen when you let your chin float back half an inch. Your palms warm when you rub them once and then rest them lightly on your thighs. Your breath moves against your shirt, a slow rise, a softer fall. You train people through tone and through temperature. Your nervous system broadcasts both. Let the broadcast say, calm, available by design, not by default. Now the trigger-to-task bridge. A trigger is any unexpected ping. Someone taps your shoulder, a notification blooms, a memory of an undone thing pops up. The bridge is a 15-second conversion. You name the trigger, route it to the right lane, and create the first brick for it if it's yours to handle. The sentence is simple. Logging trigger, first brick is tiny action, scheduled lane/time. You whisper it or type it at the top of your dock. If it belongs to support, it lands in the next support block. If it belongs to someone else, you add handoff to name and drop it into the promise ledger. By naming, routing, and bricking, you keep your prefrontal cortex from spinning its wheels in the gravel of ambiguity. The amygdala settles when it knows there will be a future touch. A scene at a small startup. Danny, an engineer, was midway through a prime block when a teammate, Miguel, hovered with "quick question." Old Danny would have popped the stack, answered, and lost the thread. New Danny lifted a palm in greeting, long exhale, beacon voice. "Building now, back at 11:30. What's needed?" Miguel explained a failing test. "Trigger to task, bridge in motion." Logging Miguel's test. First brick is reproduced locally. Scheduled support at 11:30. Danny typed one line under a bridge heading and returned to her function. At 11:30, she reproduced, fixed, and pinged Miguel. No drama, no martyrdom. The code moved, so did trust. Your nervous system reads relational signals like weather. If your beacon relies on bristle, your body will hate using it. Wrap it in warmth. Add a micro gesture, hand over heart, one nod, a tiny smile. That somatic kindness tells both bodies, this boundary protects us. The science is straightforward. Long exhale and friendly facial microcues stimulate the vagus nerve. Heart rate variability rises, defensiveness drops. You're not manipulating. You're cultivating a field where focus and relationship can both grow. Notice the room's soundscape. There's a low hum somewhere, a distant clink, the whisper of air on the back of your hand. Your jaw can unclench by the width of a seed. When you rest your tongue on the floor of your mouth, thought edges soften. From softness, boundary lines get straighter. Enter the promise ledger. Most people carry a foggy swarm of micro-promises. I'll send that. I'll look into it. I'll review tonight. Fog breeds guilt, and guilt breeds avoidance. The ledger clears the air. It's a single list you maintain in the same living document as your work, not a separate app that turns promises into a scavenger hunt. Each entry has 4 pieces: who, what, by when, first brick. Who includes you if it's your delivery. What is one plain sentence. By when is a date and hour, even if rough. First brick is the smallest visible action. You read the ledger once at the start of a support block and once before signing off. You close loops on purpose or renegotiate openly before a deadline, never after. The identity shift here is quiet but enormous. You become a person whose word has a shape and a schedule, not a cloud. That steadies your own mind, because self-trust is attention's best friend. A home story to ground it. Lee, a grad student, shared an apartment with 2 friends. Shared chores were a simmering conflict. She started a household promise ledger on a paper taped to the pantry door. Who, what, by when, first brick. Lee, bathroom deep clean, Saturday 10:00, set timer, gloves on. Sam, trash Tuesdays and Fridays 7 p.m, tie bag now. Kemi, dishes nightly, put on playlist and run hot water. She added playful limbic bookmarks, light and quick, no sighing, just music. The ledger did what long talks hadn't. Chores became bricks, bricks became predictable. The apartment felt friendlier, and Lee's study focus stopped crashing into resentment. Attention doesn't live in a vacuum, it lives in a house. Make the house less confusing, the mind breathes deeper. You may fear that beacons and ledgers will make you rigid. They won't if you add the flex window, a scheduled 15-minute slot per day when you make yourself interruptible by design. Colleagues learn that's when quick questions land. Your body learns there's a place for spontaneity that doesn't cannibalize prime blocks. Paradoxically, generosity rises when boundaries are clear. You give without resentment because you also give yourself what you need. Breath check. Inhale gently through your nose as if smelling a cool room. Exhale through pursed lips until your belly softens. Let your shoulders slide down like coats dropped on hooks. Your eyes can widen, collecting more of the space without hunting. The animal calms when boundaries are real. The human stops performing urgency. A second method pairs with the beacon, the yes, no, yes sandwich. Many people say soft yesies that become hard no's later. This sandwich makes the moment honest. First yes, honor the person. Yes, I want to help you get that right. Clear no, protect the field. No, I can't switch now, I'm in a build window. Second yes, offer a path or time. Yes, at 2:15 I can review the top 3 lines. The sandwich works by holding two truths in one breath. People matter, and so does focus. Your amygdala often spikes when you say no. Pairing it with two yesies provides social safety. Practice it out loud once a day when stakes are low, so it's there when your chest tightens. There's also the collaboration clean room. It's a shared dock or whiteboard where only final decisions land, not arguments or drafts. When a discussion turns muddy, you say, "Let's clean room the decision." Then you write a single sentence, "Decision, ship feature with opt-in, check in next sprint." The clean room is not more bureaucracy. It's a transom the work passes through so everyone knows what exists. Your RAS loves clear artifacts. Your attention hates recurring ghosts. A short hallway story. Omar, a team lead, was drowning in quick questions that detonated his build time. He installed boundary beacons at the team level, 2 office hours per day, a channel named Brick Requests with a template for promise ledger entries, and a clean room doc for decisions. He coached yes, no, yes in their stand-ups. The first week felt stiff. The second felt smooth. Interruptions didn't vanish, they organized themselves. Omar reported a quiet miracle. His breath stayed low in his belly, not trapped in his throat, even in crunch week. He didn't become aloof, he became reliable. Your biology is again your ally. The prefrontal cortex loves externalized memory, ledgers, clean rooms, because they free up working memory. The amygdala settles around clear social contracts. The basal ganglia automate repeated scripts, turning them into reflex. Boundaries feel awkward at first the way any new posture does. With a few dozen reps, your nervous system stops flagging them as risky and starts treating them as home. Return to your senses. The rim of your cup has a temperature. The chair under your thighs is either cool or warm, textured or smooth. Your breathing leaves a faint sound in the room like paper being turned gently. This isn't indulgence. It's the maintenance you do on the instrument you play all day, your attention. There's one more tool for the edge cases, the latency buffer. When someone asks for something right now, most of the time right now includes hidden slack. You buy 30 to 90 seconds with a transparent line, "Give me 1 minute to land this brick cleanly." Then you actually land it, write the breadcrumb line, paste the context capsule, save and close. You don't sprint between rooms leaving doors flapping. You close the one you're in so you can fully enter the next. That single minute reduces context switch cost far more than it costs in calendar time. When the request truly is urgent, those 60 seconds still protect your future return. A relationship story where focus and love collide. May worked from home while her partner, Luca, freelanced. During May's prime blocks, Luca would wander in with a question about dinner or a sigh about an invoice. Friction and guilt accumulated like dust. May installed a home beacon, a small lamp that glowed amber on her desk when she was building, and a line they both rehearsed. Building now, back at 11:30. What's needed? They added a flex window at 12:30 and a family promise ledger on the fridge for shared tasks. After 2 weeks, they reported less snapping, more quiet. May said her chest felt roomier. Luca said he felt considered, not shut out. Focus is social hygiene. Set the wash basin where everyone can reach it and explain how to use the soap. If your culture resists boundaries, you can still move with grace. Start with the personal scripts and the ledger. Then widen the circle by practicing public renegotiation. When you can't meet a promise, you don't hide, you say, I can deliver X by Friday noon or Y by Wednesday evening, which serves you. Choice lowers reactivity. The yes-no yes keeps the tone clean. Over time, people learn you're not evasive, you're exact. Exactness is rare, it earns patience. Scan your face, your brow can smooth without effort. The corners of your eyes can soften when you're not defending. Your breath travels a little farther down into your belly when you give yourself one more second. Harvest that second, it is where sovereignty lives. The trigger-to-task bridge also works internally with emotional triggers. If shame spikes, I'm behind, you log it like any other trigger. Logging shame, first brick is one sentence, scheduled 90 seconds of 90-second weather after. By writing it, you move it from fog to form. Form can be worked with. Fog drifts you into compulsion. Many people try to outpace the feelings that arise in collaboration and family. You aren't outrunning them. You're integrating them into the architecture so they stop hijacking the build. You'll meet an old habit that whispers, if I don't answer now, they'll think I don't care. Let the boundary beacon answer. Caring means delivering what you've promised and being reachable on purpose. You're not less human for designing your access. You're more trustworthy. The longer you live this, the more you'll see that focus and kindness aren't a zero-sum game. They compound each other. Close with a live run. Picture a colleague hovering. Hear yourself say, building now back at 2:15, what's needed? Imagine they ask for a review. Whisper, trigger logged, first brick is skim top paragraph, scheduled support 2:15. Type that line at the top of your doc. Add it to your promise ledger, who, what, by when, first brick. Feel your shoulders stay low. Let one exhale travel longer. Turn your head left and right, eyes landing on two steady objects, then return to the page. Place one small brick. When you stop, write a breadcrumb line. If guilt arises, name it and root it. You are the awareness behind the currents of relationship, not the currents themselves. You can love people and love your promises. You can make space and make things. This is not about being hard, it's about being clear. You don't need to vanish to focus. You need visible beacons, honest yeses and nos, a ledger that turns fog into shape, and a bridge that turns triggers into tasks. With these in play, you'll feel your days click into smoother tracks. Your mind will stop bracing for collisions and start expecting cooperation. And when the weather in the room shifts, and it always will, you will remain yourself, steady and available by design. There are days when the engine coughs. You wake with a grain of sand in your gears. Maybe sleep was thin, maybe news gnawed, maybe nothing identifiable, and everything you touch feels like it pushes back. This chapter is about becoming unbreakable in the only way that matters, not by never cracking, but by repairing fast. You'll install the focus recovery ladder and the energy triforce so you can climb out of dips without drama and fuel the climb without chasing spikes. These are not hacks for peak days. They are the scaffolds for ordinary ones when attention needs a hand to stand up. Start with the focus recovery ladder. It has 4 rungs you climb in order: breathe, orient, micro-in, recommit. Breathe is 2 rounds of the familiar 4 in, 4 hold, 6 out, but with a twist. On the second exhale, you let a soft "who" sound leave your throat, as if fogging a mirror. That audible exhale taps your vagus nerve more deeply. Your heart rate drops a hair, your field widens. Orient is head turn left and right, land your eyes on 2 still objects, then name 3 neutral facts in the room. Chair is blue, window is closed, mug is warm. When your amygdala hears facts without threat, it stops flooding you with what-ifs. Micro-in is the smallest brick that leaves a footprint. Type the date at the top, write 1 ugly sentence, paste a reference link. Recommit is your 1-sentence contract. For the next 10 minutes, I'll touch the brick and let the world be the world. The ladder is a choreography your body can run even when your mind sulks. You climb it, the day changes slope. Notice the temperature along your forearms. Cool where air brushes skin, warmer where fabric rests. Your tongue lies lower in your mouth when you stop bracing. The chair supports more of you when you let your hip bones settle. You don't force calm, you allow weight to be carried by gravity, which has never failed you. Now the energy triforce. Think of your attention as a triangle that holds steadiness when 3 edges are intact: breath edge, light edge, and motion edge. Breath edge you've met. Long exhale on purpose 3 times per hour, especially at the start of a block. Light edge means you feed your circadian clock with light at the right times. Step outside for 2 minutes of daylight within an hour of waking. Let your eyes take in distance, not just screens. In the afternoon, swivel your chair or walk to a window and let daylight bathe your face for 60 seconds. Light is chemical language. When you speak it fluently, focus shows up when invited. Motion edge is the smallest dose of movement that prevents mental stew. The 22-20 rule works. Every 20 minutes, 2 deep breaths while looking 20 feet away. Every 90 minutes, a 2-minute stand and stretch, or a slow walk down the hall. You don't need sweat, you need circulation. The Triforce isn't fitness advice, it's attention hygiene. Your prefrontal cortex runs on oxygen, glucose, and rhythms. Give it a trickle, not a tidal wave. A story from a messy Wednesday. Andrea, a teacher finishing a grad paper, sat down after dinner and felt the fog roll in. Her eyes burned, her chest buzzed, her brain wanted to clean the kitchen instead of open the dock. Old Andrea would have scolded herself and doom-scrolled as penance. New Andrea pulled the focus recovery ladder onto the table like a folded map. 2 breaths, the second with the soft "who." Head left, right, eyes land on the plant, the lamp. Plant is green, lamp is on. Cat is asleep. Micro-in, date at top, 1 sentence. Thesis: choice architecture reduces decision fatigue in classrooms. Recommit: 10 minutes, touch the brick, world stays the world. 10 minutes became 25, her shoulders lowered. The kitchen survived, the paper moved. Your chemistry listens to posture. Let your spine lengthen by 1 vertebra's worth. Let your collarbones widen as if you had small wings folding open. The skin at your temples cools when your breath deepens. Your hands feel heavier when they rest on a steady surface. You are tuning an instrument, not punishing a machine. Let's thread in the drift net, a tiny method that catches attention when it slips without shaming you. When you notice you've wandered, you say, "Caught." Then you place a dot in the margin or a slash on a sticky note. 1 dot equals 1 return. This does 3 things at once. It acknowledges reality without a story. It gives you a visible arc of returns that builds pride. And it prevents the spiral of "I can't focus" from infecting the next minute. Neuroscience summary: you can feel. Awareness without critique reactivates your prefrontal cortex. Shame deactivates it. The drift net is shame-proof. There's also the night before note, your evening ally. Before you close down, you write a 3-line seed for tomorrow at the top of your document. When I sit, I will dock. First brick, tiny action. Endstate Echo, sensory outcome. You add a limbic bookmark, curious and unhurried, steady and strong, because feelings are faster than thoughts. While you sleep, your brain consolidates. When you wake, the note greets you like a friend with coffee. Sleep scientists would give you a pile of terms. You only need the result. Morning you doesn't chase morning. It steps into a scene already staged. Sensory checkpoint. The room smells faintly of paper or soap or the last thing you cooked. Your jaw can release by a grain of rice. The back of your neck warms under hair or air. Your breath strokes the inside of your ribs. Every time you return to this, you're not wasting time. You're reducing noise so the signal stands out. When the dip is deeper, when anxiety prickles or shame climbs your throat, you'll pair the ladder with the 90-second weather rule you've used before, but with a twist called the label and land. Label the strongest sensation with a neutral tag, then land your attention in your feet. Buzzing in chest, feet on floor. Do nothing else for 90 seconds. Watch the gusts. When your prefrontal cortex is back online, you climb the ladder. This is how you stop a storm from turning into a story that colonizes your afternoon. A client story with failure in it. Theo, a young founder, bombed a pitch at 10 a.m. His body turned to static. He wanted to rewrite the deck or hide under a blanket. Instead, he took the elevator down, 10 floors of breath, starting at the crown of his head, one slow exhale per floor, naming each level: a crown, eyes, jaw, throat, chest, belly, pelvis, thighs, calves, feet. At the bottom, he ran label and land, heat in face, feet solid. Then the ladder, breath with the who, orient, micro-in. He typed a list of questions to ask the investor for feedback and recommit, 10 minutes, brick only. The rest of the day wasn't triumphant, it was productive. He shipped the V2 memo by 4 p.m. The identity shift was I win, it was I repair. Repairers outlast heroes. Let's tune fuel in real time with a micro protocol called SIP, Salt, Sight. Sip a little water when your eyes blur. Add a salt flake or two to a snack if you've been at it for hours and your head aches. Sight distant for 20 seconds to reset ocular muscles and the part of your brain that rides with them. You'll feel silly the first time, you'll feel better the 10th. Attention isn't mystical. It's a living animal that calms when you handle it kindly. Breath again, inhale as if smelling rain on hot pavement. Exhale as if fogging that invisible mirror. The space around your heart loosens by a millimeter. Your stomach softens. Your shoulders descend 2 clicks. You don't need to feel perfect. You need to feel enough. Now for the context cleanse. This is a 5-minute ritual you use when you've been pinged into 7 contexts and your head feels like a crowded bus. You empty the bus onto 1 page. Write every open loop you can remember in a quick spill, no grammar. Then you sort by the 3 lanes you already know: prime, support, play, and assign the first brick for each item that matters today. You're not doing the tasks, you're laundering them. The act of sorting lowers cortisol because your amygdala recognizes a shepherd at the gate. After the cleanse, you dock to 1 page, not to a panic parade. An evening scene where this saved sleep. Myra, a nurse studying part-time, came home late to a mind full of alarms. She knew if she opened her laptop, she'd spiral into shoulds. Instead, she ran a context cleanse on paper at the kitchen counter. 22 items spilled out. She sorted them into her lanes, circled 3 first bricks for the next day, and wrote a night before note at the top of her study dock on her phone. Dock at 8:15. First brick. Annotate page 3. End state, 2 pages touched, sticky at top. Her breath slowed. She put the paper by her bag. She slept. The next morning her hands moved before her story woke up. That's the whole point. You'll also learn the tension to task alchemy. Tight shoulders, clenched jaw, fluttering belly, each becomes a cue to ask one question. What can these hands do? Then you do something small and physical. Stack 2 books. Tidy a 6-inch square of desk. Write the date. This grounds the charge in muscle instead of rumination and gives your basal ganglia a groove to fall into. You are training your body to translate energy into movement, not into circling thoughts. Return to your senses. Press the pads of your thumbs against your index fingers and feel the faint pulse there. Listen for the quietest layer of sound, a distant scooter, a refrigerator's purr, your own breath. Smell the air, it always has a note you missed. Let one exhale lengthen like honey. Half of mastery is this, noticing and choosing gently. For long projects, adopt tempo mapping. You decide the day's tempo before you begin. Largo slow build, gentle, andante steady forward, allegro tight sprints. You say it out loud. Today andante. Your nervous system hears a plausible pace and stops arguing for both sprint and collapse. In andante, you use longer docking and more frequent ladder climbs. In allegro, you protect short, sharp sprints and double the drift net. Dots pile up like applause. Tempo is not performance art, it's permission. People burn out trying to be allegro every hour. Musicians don't play symphonies that way, neither should you. A field story from construction. Lewis worked framing houses. Focus wasn't a desk problem, it was a body problem. When a job fell behind and tempers ran hot, he introduced tempo mapping to his crew in plain words. Morning, steady, after lunch, quick cuts, last hour, cleanup and prep. He added a communal drift net on a whiteboard, each return to task marked with a chalk slash. He taught the ladder as breathe, look around, do the next cut, back to the line. Productivity rose. More interestingly, arguments dropped. The crew's bodies learned to regulate together. Attention is contagious, calm too. You'll meet boredom. It's not a villain, it's a signal that you've outgrown a brick or need to widen the challenge by a hair. That's where the challenge dial comes in. You turn it one click by asking, what would make this 5% more interesting? Add a timer race, invite a friend to a silent co-build, or aim for an uglier first draft in less time. Not 50% more, 5. The dopamine system doesn't need fireworks. It needs novelty with safety. You are the DJ. Keep the beat, add a flourish. Scan your eyes. Imagine gently massaging the muscles behind them by looking far, then near. Let your gaze land on one word you like. Whisper it. Words have texture. Let it roll in your mouth. Feel the ground stable beneath your feet. You are in a body with weight and warmth and breath. That body is not your enemy. It is your workspace. There's a failsafe for the hardest days, the 2-minute fortress. You set a timer for 2 minutes and do a brick you can finish. You end even if the engine finally catches fire and wants to run. Stopping proves you're the one at the wheel. Then you set another 2 minutes. Brick, stop. If a voice protests, smile at it the way you smile at a toddler who wants to sprint into a street. 2 minutes at a time can rebuild a day that looked unsalvageable. This is not about infantilizing yourself. It's about resetting agency when it feels stolen. An identity turn you can practice in one breath. I am the awareness that recovers. Say it with the audible exhale. Your chest feels roomier on the second half of the sentence. Your shoulders agree. Your prefrontal cortex likes declarative lines tied to bodily relief. It bookmarks them. On your tomb of habits, this is the inscription, not always focused, but always returned. Before we close, combine it all in a live sequence. Choose your tempo, say it. Andante maybe. Run the focus recovery ladder, breathe, who, orient, micro-in, recommit. Touch your energy triforce, one step outside for light if you can. If not, face the window, 2 long exhales, stand and stretch for 20 seconds. Drop a drift net dot for each return in the next 5 minutes. If you wobble, label and land, then climb again. End with a night before note at the top of your dock. Even if night is far away, future you will thank you. Whisper your identity line. Smile without showing teeth. The room is still the room. Your body is still your ally. The brick is still small and visible and waiting for your hands. You are not the storm of your afternoon. You are the builder who knows how to keep laying bricks in weather. Some days you sprint. Some days you place one brick with reverence and call that victory. Either way, the wall rises. Either way, the garden grows. Either way, you remain the awareness that can recover in 90 seconds and recommit in 10. That's what unshakable actually feels like, not a hard statue, but a living rhythm that returns. The outer rails of your attention are in place. Now we tune the engine that lives between your ears, the story you tell while you work. Because even with rituals and windows, your inner narrator can still leak momentum with quiet lines like, "I'm slow," "It's not ready," or "What if they see through me?" This chapter is about converting narrative into traction. You'll install the focus compass to align what matters with what you're doing, and the narrative switchboard to transform self-talk from static into signal. When meaning threads through your methods, willpower becomes redundant. You stop pleading with yourself and start moving as if the work is choosing you too. Begin with the focus compass. A compass doesn't give you every step. It gives you direction you can trust in fog. The 4 points are simple and memorable. North is non-negotiables, the values you refuse to betray. East is energizers, the conditions that make the work feel lighter. South is supports, the scaffolds and people that keep you steady. West is wildcards, the risks and temptations you'll expect, not fear. You'll sketch a compass at the top of your living document for each meaningful project, so every prime block begins with a glance at your north and a quick check of the other points. Neuroscience footnote: you can feel. Values clarity quiets the amygdala because purpose predicts pain. Predicted pain is less alarming than vague threat. Draw your compass in words now. North might say truthful, useful, kind. East might say morning light, silence, rough first drafts. South could be check-in with Mia on Fridays, sanctuary setup every Monday. West might name perfection loops, comparison spirals, late-night scrolling. The act of naming moves these from fog to form. When you feel the tug to polish commas for 40 minutes, you glance west and nod. There you are, old friend, and you return north. Notice your body as you do this. The back of your neck lengthens when you let your chin float back a finger's width. Your ribs widen then settle. Your breath brushes your upper lip on the exhale like a soft thread. The room's temperature becomes real again. Attention re-enters the body and the story loses its megaphone. Now the narrative switchboard. Think of it as 6 ports you reroute language through: label, legroom, ladder, lens, leverage, and line. Label is the old friend you know. I'm having the thought that. Legroom is the clause that adds space and time. Right now. Ladder is the immediate microaction tied to the thought. So I'll place 1 brick. Lens is the value's angle, because being useful beats being impressive. Leverage is the sensation you pair with the line, hand to chest, long exhale, so your body believes you. Line is the short cue you repeat when the thought returns. Useful over impressive. You're not trying to annihilate your brain's caution. You're teaching it to carry the caution to the counter, and ask for a receipt. Use it on a live thought. Perhaps the whisper is, "I'm behind, I'll never catch up." Label, "I'm having the thought that I'm behind." Legroom, "Right now." Ladder, "So I'll write 3 ugly sentences." Lens, "Because clarity serves the reader more than drama serves my ego." Leverage, hand to sternum, exhale for 6. Line, "Serve clarity." Run that switchboard 15 times and you won't need to convince yourself. The sentence will have a body memory attached to it. A story from an ordinary hallway. Tara, a medical student, kept freezing before practice questions. Her inner narrator muttered, "If you miss this, it proves you're not cut out for this." Her chest went tight, her fingers cold. She drew a tiny focus compass at the top of her notebook. North, competent and compassionate. East, morning sun on the desk, water nearby, timer visible. South, study buddy text at noon, ladder when stuck. West, perfection loop, prognosis catastrophizing. When the mutter returned, she ran the switchboard. "I'm having the thought that missing a question proves I'm not cut out right now, so I'll answer one aloud and write why, because competence grows through attempts more than through avoidance." Hand to chest, long exhale, serve clarity. She still missed questions. She missed them with warm hands. 2 months later, she wasn't braver in the cinematic sense. She was steadier in the boring sense. Exams reward steady. Another sensory beat. The fabric at your wrists has a texture. It's either cool or warm, slightly rough or silk smooth. The seat cradles your hip bones like 2 shallow bowls. Your jaw can unlock 1 grain of rice wider. Let the tongue rest on the floor of your mouth. Your system reads these as safety cues faster than it reads sentences. Meaning accelerates focus when it becomes specific movement, not abstract creed. That's where the identity cue comes in, 1 declarative line that names who you are while you work. You don't need a manifesto. You need a sentence you can stand inside. I am the kind builder. I am the clear writer. I am the steady coder. Identity language primes the basal ganglia to pick patterns consistent with that identity. Your RAS filters for evidence to match. You will never outargue a vague fear with a vague self. You can outpace it with a sentence that has heat. Say it with a long exhale until your ribcage accepts it as a normal posture. You'll marry compass and identity with the work benediction, a 1-breath ritual that blesses the next brick. Before you begin, you whisper, "North in mind, hands gentle, bricks small." You touch the page and you start. Benedictions might sound sentimental. They are practical. They anchor values to muscles. When you feel fraud rise, the benediction turns your gaze from judgment to movement. Science lightly, your negativity bias evolved to over-index threat. That bias makes the mind sticky for self-critique and slippery for self-trust. But neuroplasticity listens to repetition plus emotion. When you attach a physical cue and a value to a phrase, you create a circuit that fires faster than the old narrative loop. You're not replacing your brain, you're reweighting your defaults. A second framework for this chapter, sentence surgery. You will stop 3 common leaks by rewriting them in the operating room of your mouth. Leak 1, I have to. Incision, replace with I choose to or I'm choosing to. Agency reduces cortisol. Leak 2, it has to be good. Incision, it has to be real. Reality arrives first, quality rides shotgun. Leak 3, I'll do it when I feel ready. Incision, I'll do it so I feel ready. Action produces readiness, like striking flint produces fire, friction, then flame. Your mouth teaches your nervous system. Speak it. Feel the difference in your chest as the sentence shifts. Check your senses again. What's the quietest sound? A fast scooter, a fan, a bird, the slight hiss of air in a vent. Let your eyes soften to the edges of the screen, then gently return to one word. Attention is an aperture. You control the focus ring. Meaning also asks for constraint. You'll use the North Star Minute, a daily 60-second rehearsal of why this particular work matters, spoken in second person to yourself as if you are your own mentor. You're shaping this because someone needs a clear path through confusion. You're building this because it will save a team from rework and give them a calmer Friday. You're writing this because your younger self needed this sentence. The amygdala's alarms dim when it hears a plausible why spoken with warmth. This isn't a TED talk in your head. It's a humane nudge. A story from a small studio. Aisha, an illustrator, kept stalling on a children's book spread. The west point of her compass comparison was loud. She scrolled other artists' feeds and felt her throat tighten. She wrote her North Star Minute to herself on a sticky note and read it aloud, hand to heart. You are drawing for a kid who thinks storms mean they're in trouble. You're giving them a window with a candle. Then she ran sentence surgery on it has to be good. It has to be real. She sketched the ugliest candle and the loudest clouds. The page breathed, then she did. Later, she polished. The child who received the book would not care that the candle began ugly. They would care that it existed. Identity deepens with evidence. Enter the evidence album. At the end of each prime block, you paste one line into a running list titled Proof I Focus Like Me. It could be a sentence you wrote, a test you made pass, a decision you logged, or a moment you returned from drift kindly. Once a week, you read the week's album out loud. Your RAS learns where to point its camera. Self-trust grows out of what you witness yourself doing, not what you promise you'll do someday. This isn't praise inflation. It's file keeping for the nervous system. Another sensory beat. The skin along your temples feels cooler than your cheeks. Your feet know the floor, pressure under the balls, softer under the heels. Your shoulders settle as if a coat found the right hook. Breathing lengthens on its own when you stop arguing with it. You'll meet a familiar saboteur. If I align with values, I'll go slow. Reality says otherwise. Values remove decision friction. A surgeon moves faster because the core principles are non-negotiable. He doesn't pause to debate sterile technique. Your north removes 1,000 whispers. Your east supplies energy without theatrics. Your south keeps you from falling alone. Your west warns you kindly that a pothole is ahead. Speed emerges from clarity, not from panic. A moment for the narrative switchboard under fire. Ben, a founder, opened his analytics and saw a dip. His stomach dropped. His old script would have dumped him into a day of dashboard doom. He labeled, gave legroom, climbed the ladder with a brick. Write 3 hypotheses for the drop, chose a lens, truth over spin, paired a long exhale, and chose a line, calm sees more. He ran his focus compass. North said honesty, east said whiteboard and walking, south said call Priya for a second brain, west said blame game. They walked, wrote, and spotted a tracking glitch. The fix took 15 minutes. The calm took 1 sentence and a walk. Focus isn't the absence of heat, it's heat channeled through rails. Identity turn, right now. Whisper, I am the awareness that chooses sentences that serve. Notice the slight heat between your palms when they face each other. Notice the back of your throat soften as you elongate the exhale. Your nervous system doesn't need poetry. It needs consistency wrapped in kindness. Add the quiet hour covenant to your week. 1 hour where you and whoever shares your space agree that you will build with your compass visible and your switchboard ready. No incoming conversations unless prearranged. You begin with the North Star Minute and end with an evidence album entry and a context capsule. People around you will catch the shape. Culture isn't posters, it's repeated behaviors that feel good in bodies. Your hour becomes a lighthouse, others will set their lamps. If you doubt any of this, test it for 1 week. At the start of each prime block, touch the compass. Before the first keystroke, run 1 line through the switchboard. End with 1 line in the evidence album. That's it. No extra apps, no new furniture. You'll notice you argue less with yourself. You'll hear fewer verdicts in your head. You'll feel a little more weight on your sit bones and a little less in your chest. Sensory beat. The air has a taste, metallic from a radiator, sweet from a neighbor's baking, clean from a recent rain. Your fingers have weight and warmth. The surface under your wrist is cooler than your palm. The light falls across your workspace at an angle that is either kind or harsh. Either way, it is real. Reality is where the brick lives. One last piece, the decency clause. You include it in your identity. I will be decent to myself while I build. Decency is not indulgence. It's refusing to rip your own sails when the wind shifts. When you miss a block, you don't compound loss with insult. You repair as you've learned. Decency keeps the long game playable. Your prefrontal cortex likes long games. It doesn't play well when threatened. Close this chapter with a live weave. Draw your focus compass in a corner of your page, north, east, south, west in 4 phrases. Whisper your work benediction, north in mind, hands gentle, bricks small. Take 1 breath longer out than in. Run 1 stubborn thought through the narrative switchboard, attach a line, and feel your hand on your chest while you say it. Write 1 evidence album line from the last hour. Smile barely, type your breadcrumb line for your return. Then stand and see a far point for 20 seconds so your eyes and mind remember distance exists beyond screens. When you sit again, you will feel it. Not hype, not fireworks, just a quiet click as direction and action touch. You are the awareness that sets direction and selects sentences. Weather happens, meaning endures. You were never meant to brute force your way through a life of tabs and pings. You were meant to steer by a north that fits your bones, to speak to yourself like a skilled mentor, and to build like a calm craftsperson who trusts their hands. That's unshakable focus, not a strain in the jaw, but a compass in the chest and a switchboard at the tongue. You've aligned meaning with method. Now you'll engineer flow on purpose, not as a lucky accident. Flow isn't magic, it's math plus mercy. In this chapter, you'll build the flow threshold protocol and the signal-to-noise audit so your brain crosses into deep work reliably. You'll also keep score the only way that helps, with the momentum ledger, a humane metric that grows confidence without gamifying your soul. When you can feel exactly how to enter, hold, and exit deep focus, you stop chasing perfect days. You create repeatable ones. Think of flow as a gate that opens when 3 dials line up: clarity, challenge, and safety. If clarity is high but challenge is low, you get boredom. If challenge is high but safety is low, you get panic. The flow threshold protocol tunes those dials in 3 minutes. You'll whisper a CCC line at the start of a prime block. Clear target, 5% stretch, safe body. Clear target is your 2-word target expanded into 1 precise sentence. 5% stretch is you turning the challenge dial slightly, not snapping it. Safe body is a breath and a posture that tell your nervous system the lion is imaginary. The moment those cues align, your prefrontal cortex stops babysitting alarms and starts sequencing actions. You feel the click as the edges of your attention come to heal. Begin with clarity. Write 1 sentence that would make a stranger understand your brick. Draft the user story for failed payment with 1 example. Then tune challenge by asking, what makes this 5% braver? Add 1 constraint that quickens your pulse without raising your shoulders. Write it in 60 minutes, leaving 3 gaps, or draft 2 versions and keep the bolder one. then establish safety. Plant feet, lengthen spine, long exhale for 6, hand to chest. Whisper, body safe, work play. The body believes what the breath performs. You're not tricking yourself, you're making the conditions your biology requires. Notice your senses as you do this. Your chair is cooler under your thighs than your palms are on the desk. The air touches the shallow valley between your nose and lips on the exhale. Light falls at an angle that makes one corner of your space gentler than the other. Let your eyes soften, then settle on one word. Your amygdala reads this as quiet weather. Quiet weather lets trains run on time. Now the signal-to-noise audit. You can't sustain flow in a field that hisses. Noise is anything that doesn't move the brick but consumes bandwidth. Visual clutter, digital chatter, unresolved micro-promises, body discomfort. You'll scan 4 zones in 90 seconds, sight, sound, seat, story, and subtract 1 item from each. Sight, close 1 tab, remove 1 object from your field, full screen the page. Sound, switch to a neutral soundscape, lower volume 1 notch or put on nothing. Your brain often mistakes music with words for company and tries to answer it. Seat, adjust height by a centimeter, plant both feet or place a cushion. 1 degree of tilt can steal 10% of attention. Story, write a 1-line reassurance at the top of your doc. Rough is correct, and underline it. 4 subtractions reduce hiss enough for your signal to ring. An anecdote from a borrowed desk. Nolan, a software engineer visiting another office, kept failing to enter flow in a hot desk area. His code read like it was written by a tourist. He ran the audit. Sight, full-screened his editor, turned the backpack so the bright tag didn't flicker in his peripheral vision. Sound, removed earbuds, and used the room's quiet hum. Lyrics had been snagging his language centers. Seat, raised the chair a notch so his elbows floated near 90 degrees. Pain stopped whispering at him. Story, wrote ugly first, extract later at the top. Then the flow threshold protocol, clear target, pass failing test for checkout edge case, 5% stretch, refactor 1 function name, safe body, exhale long. The gate opened. 2 hours later, the failing test was gone. He didn't become a different person. He subtracted static and tuned dials. Your body is a collaborator. When your breathing lengthens, the skin along your ribs softens, your throat warms where the air passes, the top of your shoulders sinks a fraction. The chair holds more of you when you stop trying to hover above it. That's when the work stops feeling like a cliff and starts feeling like stairs. Flow's cousin is momentum. You will stop measuring it by hours and start measuring it by edges crossed. The momentum ledger is a running list of edges you cross each session, not time you sat. An edge is any small irreversibility, a paragraph written that didn't exist, a test that fails or passes, a decision logged in the clean room, a sketch blocked in with shapes. At the end of a prime block, you write 3 lines, edges crossed, 1, 2, 3, friction faced, name it, repair used, tool. You read this weekly, not to shame yourself, but to show your RAS a pattern. Even on rough days, edges moved. The ledger is not a scoreboard. It's an almanac for your nervous system. A workbench story. Yelena, a carpenter, built cabinets in a small shop behind her house. She used to judge days by hours in the dust. It made her chase long shifts and resent interruptions. She switched to edges. Door frame cut. Hinge mortise routed, sanded to 220. On a day with 3 deliveries and a surprise visit from a neighbor, she crossed 2 edges and wrote, friction, neighbor chat, repair, latency buffer plus breadcrumb line. The ledger softened her chest. She stopped glorifying battle and started celebrating craft. Focus, freed from drama, likes to stay. Sensory checkpoint. The smell of wood, paper, or nothing at all is a real thing, not an idea. The socks against your toes have a temperature. Your eyes can relax as if looking past the screen through a window, then return. Your mind wastes less glucose when it stops inventing weather. You'll add the three-phase cycle to your prime blocks: warm, work, wrap. Warm is 2 minutes where you run docking plus a micro drill such as the 30-second cold start. Work rides the flow threshold. Wrap is a deliberate exit using the context capsule and the Endstate Echo, plus one line in the momentum ledger. The wrap matters most. You don't skid out of a session, you land it. The next flight takes off clean. Basal ganglia worship closure. Give them a ritual, and they'll pull you back to the runway. But flow has enemies that mimic virtue. The most cunning is polishing in disguise. You'll neutralize it with the one-sweep rule. In a build phase, you're allowed a single sweep for obvious errors, typos, blatant inconsistencies. Then your hands must return to forward motion. If your eyes or cursor pass the same paragraph twice, you invoke the review seat later. One sweep keeps quality from backseating momentum. Later you become the critic. Now you are the builder. A scene with heat in it. Mina, a lawyer drafting a brief, felt herself circling the opening paragraph like a hawk. Each sentence she wrote and rewrote. The clock bled. She named her West perfection loop, then used the one-sweep rule. She allowed one pass, then blocked out 3 new sections with blunt headers. Flow returned not because she became less careful, but because she reserved care for the chair built for it. Her shoulders dropped. The argument grew teeth. Later, in review, she carved elegance. That's a dance, not a compromise. Here's the math you can feel. Every context switch carries a latency tax, the delay before your neurons fully engage the new target. You'll print a latency tax receipt whenever you switch by writing the expected restart action. When I return, rebuild last sentence from breadcrumb line. You will be shocked how often the receipt cuts restart from 10 minutes to 30 seconds. Your brain wants a handle to grab. You put one where your hand will be. Your senses help you feel the tax. After a switch, your eyes skim more, your jaw tightens a click, your breath climbs higher in your chest. Put your palm on your sternum, exhale audibly, whisper the receipt, and rebuild one line. The body relaxes when it knows the re-entry path. Relaxed bodies are where flow finds purchase. To protect your gate from digital static, adopt the one-screen rule for deep blocks. One screen shows the page, the other is off or shows a neutral image. If you can't power down, pin a blank note to cover distractions. The visual field is a greedy landlord. Evict what doesn't pay rent. Your RAS will reward you with easier entry. A kitchen table story. Devon, a university student, kept his email open just in case. His flow was a myth. He tried the one-screen rule. He wrote his gate script before opening any research database. Open JSTOR to find 2 references for Z in 20 minutes. Signal-to-noise audit at start. Flow threshold, warm work wrap. He crossed edges and left receipts for each switch. He thought it was overkill. It felt like wearing a seatbelt in a parking lot, until the day a sudden group chat flare tried to pull him out. He felt the tug, touched his chest, read his receipt, rebuilt the last sentence, and stayed. The seatbelt mattered when the car in front braked. Now the flow friend principle. Deep work is solitary. Flow loves company in design. You'll enlist a friend for silent co-build sessions where microphones are off and cameras optional, but docking, gate script, and wrap are spoken aloud at the start and end. The social proof makes your amygdala treat the ritual like a norm. No one watches your output. They witness your entrances and exits. It's a lighthouse effect. When the weather turns inside you, The presence of another lamp inches away steadies your beam. Notice your breath. Inhale as if you are smelling a page just printed. Exhale like you're fogging a tiny window in winter. The skin on your forearms registers air, your belly loosens by a shade. The animal hears safe. The human hears begin. You'll also mark flow's entrance with the 12-minute commitment. Promise yourself you'll hold the gate for 12 minutes before evaluating quality. You can restart the 12 if you pop out, but you can't judge work inside it. This immunizes you against early contempt, which is shame dressed in taste. After the 12, you may check alignment and adjust. Many sessions never recover from a sneer in minute 3. You are removing sneers from the first minutes like stones from a path. A sports field story. Zane, a midfielder and data analyst, applied 12-minute commitment to both the pitch and the desk. In training, he dedicated the first 12 minutes to touches without critique. At work, he built models without inspecting charts for elegance until minute 13. Result: fewer false resets, more total minutes inside useful concentration. He stopped treating himself like a suspect and started treating himself like a teammate. Flow has an exit ramp too, the gentle deceleration. 5 breaths where each exhale is 1 count longer than the last, then the warm work wrap's final step. A single sentence naming one thing you respect about how you worked, not just what you produced. Respect trains identity. I respected that I returned after drifting. I respected that I kept the 5% stretch. The body keeps that score. Next time, it arrives proud instead of braced. Sensory bead on a string. The chair presses differently on your left and right sit bones shift until they match. The room's light has a color, white, blue, honey gold fluorescence that you mitigate by facing away. There's a scent, paper, dust, soap, the ghost of citrus. Each real detail displaces one imaginary worry. For big projects across weeks, install the Flow Arc map. At the top of your dock, you draw 3 waves: entry, experiments, middle, build, end, polish. Under each, you list rituals that help there. Entry, docking, flow threshold, 12-minute commitment. Middle, 1 sweep, 1 screen, latency receipts. End, review seat, gentle deceleration, clean room decision. The map takes a minute to sketch and saves days of guesswork. When you feel lost, your eyes go to the wave you're in. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and ask, "Which ritual fits this wave?" A museum story. Carla, a curator writing wall labels, felt the unique torture of condensing meaning into short text. Entry was always a thicket. She sketched a flow arc map on a postcard taped to her monitor. At entry, she used the 12-minute commitment to churn bad sentences guilt-free. In the middle, she used the 1-sweep rule to prevent premature polish. At the end, she walked the room and read labels aloud to walls, the review seat with legs. The map prevented 1,000 micro-panics. The show opened. Visitors moved like breathing through the rooms. You'll meet resistance in the form of flow should be effortless. If I have to engineer it, it's fake. False. Musicians tune, athletes warm, pilots run checklists. You're honoring the craft. Engineering isn't antithetical to magic. It's how you build the stage where magic sometimes shows up. And on days when it doesn't, you still cross edges. A life of edges crossed outlives a life of occasional fireworks. Add the micro-celebration. At the end of a deep block, stand, look far for 20 seconds, take 1 sip of water like it's a toast, and whisper your identity line. I am the clear writer. I am the steady coder. Your body marks the right. Rituals teach the brain when to feel proud. Pride placed well fuels the next gate. Feel your tongue rest heavy and friendly at the floor of your mouth. Feel the back of your hands cool and the palms warm. Let your eyebrows soften. The room is not asking anything of you that you have not chosen. Choice is the quiet power source of focus. Here's a compact drill to close the flow minute. Set 60 seconds. Half is signal to noise audit. Subtract one sight, one sound, fix one seat thing, name one story. Half is flow threshold protocol, clear target sentence, 5% stretch, safe body. Then begin your 12-minute commitment. The flow minute is the wedge that cracks open the day when nothing else gets in. You can do it in a bus, a cafe, a hallway. You'll look like you're thinking. You'll be building a gate. A final story where all of this carried a person across a season. Ray, a non-profit director, faced a grant cycle that overlapped with a sick parent and a budget like a thin blanket. Old Ray would have bet on heroic nights. New Ray built gates. Each morning began with the flow minute. Prime blocks glued to the one-screen rule. Flow arc map taped to the lamp. Momentum ledger entries that read like small poems of survival. Edge, 3 paragraphs, friction, hospital call, repair, latency receipt plus 90-second weather. She wasn't in constant flow. She was in reliable forward motion. The grants went out. Her parent stabilized. Ray didn't become steel. She became water that knew where to run. Close your eyes for one breath. Inhale quietly. Exhale with a soft whew, as if fogging a winter window. Whisper, clear target, 5% stretch, safe body. Open the page, type your target sentence. Add the 5% constraint. Place one brick while your body stays kind. When you stop, log edges, write the capsule, sip water and look far. Feel the pride that comes from craft, not from spectacle. That feeling is a compass you can trust tomorrow. You are the awareness that builds gates and walks through them. Weather will come, news will knock. The garden of your attention will still grow because you will subtract noise, tune dials, and cross edges day after day. This is not about chasing a trance. It's about becoming the craftsperson who can enter a room, set the light, pick up the tool, and make something real, even when the world is loud. That's unshakable. Finishing is where attention goes to die for most people. The last mile is full of mirages. The perfect last sentence, the elegant refactor, the one more source to read. If you've ever watched yourself circle the runway for an hour with plenty of fuel but no landing, this chapter is your tower. You'll install the Finish First framework and the Feedback Firewall so shipping becomes a calm reflex instead of a cliff you dread. These two tools let you close loops without drama, receive signal without swallowing noise, and keep momentum after the send. This isn't about lowering the bar. It's about moving it to the right height, at the right time, for the right purpose. Start with the Finish First framework. It has 3 movements you run in order: frame, freeze, flow. Frame means you define the smallest version that counts as real. You write a 1-sentence definition of done that a stranger would recognize. A complete draft with rough intro, 3 core points, 1 conclusion, no polish. Or feature toggled behind a flag, passing tests, basic error, copy in place. Freeze means you lock scope for 1 session. You tell your work, no new features, no new research, no new rabbits. Flow means you move in one direction only, from top to bottom, or from start to stop, without reversing for shine. If you notice you're drifting back to buff a paragraph you already passed, you invoke the one sweep rule and keep going. The brain's reward system loves completion more than it loves perfection. Finish first, then choose which edges deserve your second pass. Feel your body as you declare this. The back of your neck lengthens when you tuck your chin a finger's width. Your breath drops lower when you exhale for 6, lips slightly pursed. Your hands rest heavier on the surface. Your ribs widen and fall like small doors that know how to close. By anchoring sensation first, you stop negotiating with fog and start steering in air you can breathe. To help frame with honesty, you'll use the finish line finder, a tiny sentence you whisper that cuts all the theatrics. If I had to ship in 60 minutes, what survives? Say it, then write the survivors at the top of your dock as blunt markers. Those markers become your rails. You aren't predicting disaster, you're simulating a reasonable constraint so your amygdala stops insisting on infinite. When your chest loosens, you'll feel the room grow an inch wider. That inch is focus coming back. An anecdote at the point of impact. Mia, a content lead, kept delaying a post her team needed. The draft was a snowball that collected quotes and links and notes until it weighed too much to lift. She ran finish first. Frame, intro, 3 moves, a call to action, links parked in footnotes for later. Freeze, no more research, no more examples beyond the 3 I have. Flow, top to bottom, ugly aloud. She set a 45-minute ship window, 1 block where the only outcome was to cross the finish line. She whispered the finder, if I had to ship in 60 minutes, what survives? The 3 moves survived. She wrote them as headers and ran. At 43 minutes, she had something she could send to review. She didn't win a prize. She slept with quieter shoulders. Notice the temperature difference between your palms and the back of your hands. Notice the way the chair holds your weight differently on each side and adjust until you feel even. Let your exhale lengthen by 1 count. Your eyes can soften to the edges, then settle on the next word. This is not decoration, it's a switchboard. When the body reads safety, the mind can choose finishing over fretting. Finishing often collapses under the weight of feedback, both the one you imagine and the one you actually receive. Enter the feedback firewall. A firewall doesn't block truth, it roots it. The firewall has 3 gates: timing, target, tone. Timing decides when feedback is allowed. In a finish-first session, only structural feedback enters. Style and surface wait for review seat. Target decides what the feedback is about. You predefine 2 questions you want answered, like, is the sequence clear? And did I omit a crucial risk? Tone decides how feedback must be framed: neutral, specific, and actionable. You request feedback with your 2 questions attached and ask for 2 sentences and 1 suggestion, not a stream of consciousness. Your collaborators become allies because you've handed them a map. Your nervous system calms because the unknown ocean becomes 2 lanes on a road. A moment from a small design studio. Ken, a product designer, used to fear handoff because critique hit him like hail. He wrote a feedback request capsule at the top of his Figma file: timing, structural review only, target, navigation clarity and empty states, tone, 2 sentences and 1 suggestion. He sent the link at the end of a finish first session. Reviews came back inside the fence. He applied the suggestions that matched his frame. He slept. The next day, he scheduled a style Polish pass in a review seat block. He didn't become less sensitive. He became less exposed when it mattered. Sometimes the harshest feedback comes from inside. The inner critic loves arrival gates. You tame it with the 2-chair method. You literally or mentally mark 2 seats, builder and reviewer. In builder, you are allowed only to ask, what's the next brick? In reviewer, you are allowed only to ask, what helps the reader user next? If the critic barges into builder with "this is weak," you answer, "see you in the other chair at 2:15. Your amygdala stops spiking because there is a promised arena for judgment. You're not denying scrutiny, you're scheduling it. Sensory checkpoint. The air in your space has a scent: paper, citrus, dust warmed by sun. Your jaw can release by a grain of rice. Your tongue can rest on the floor of your mouth like a small warm stone. Your shoulders descend from your ears by 1 click. The moment you feel that click, finishing gets easier because you stopped dragging fear along like a suitcase with a stuck wheel. To keep finishing humane, you'll add the 85% rule. You decide in advance which categories must reach 85% in your finish first pass and which can remain at 60. Structure 85, flow 80, tone 60 if time is tight. References 60 with placeholders that are obvious and searchable. The rule is your consent to imperfection at the right stage. It doesn't make you sloppy, it makes you surgical. Precision arrives in polish. Shipping arrives in finish. A story with heat and stakes. Armin, a data scientist, had to ship a model update to a client after a bug caused a glitch in weekly reports. Old Armin would have sunk into perfecting the model, terrified of being seen as careless. He ran finish first with an 85% rule and a firewall. Frame, fix bug, validate on 3 datasets, produce memo with known limitations, schedule a polish sprint. Freeze, no new feature engineering. Flow top to bottom in the memo, code commented once. Feedback firewall request, timing, structural and risk, target, clarity of limitation, tone, 2 sentences and 1 suggestion. He shipped the fix with a memo that owned the trade-offs. The client thanked him for transparency. He felt his throat release like an unclenched fist. When finishing, energy dips feel personal. They aren't. The brain hates open loops because they are metabolically expensive. You'll use the closing breath to reclaim a last-mile surge. Inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 8 twice while whispering close then care. That sentence reminds your system that polish will have its day. Today, doors close. After the second exhale, picture the Endstate Echo in a sensory sentence. File saved with date, capsule at top, send clicked. Your basal ganglia march toward the picture. Doors receive their handles. Notice the thin coolness across your upper lip on the exhale. Notice the way your elbows feel when you bend them to 90 degrees instead of hunching. Notice the weight shift when you plant both feet flat. Finishing happens in bodies. Train the body and finishing stops feeling like luck. Some people stall because they mistake done for forever. You'll use the 2-stage publish to break the spell. Stage 1 is soft ship. You deliver to a small audience or behind a feature flag with a clear label, V09 for review, and a feedback firewall attached. Stage 2 is public ship. After 1 review seat pass and the clean room decision, it goes wide. Soft ship gives your amygdala a sandbox. Once it learns that survival occurs after shipping, public ship feels like a Tuesday, not a cliff. At home, this matters too. Nina wanted to share a portfolio with potential clients but kept tinkering with thumbnails. We set a 2-stage publish. Stage 1, email 3 trusted peers the link by Thursday with questions attached. Stage 2, post to her site a week later with minor polish. She sent the Thursday email with cold hands. Friday morning, she felt warm. Her peers answered within her firewall. Tuesday, she fixed 2 gaps and flipped the public switch. The earth did not tilt. Her phone, however, buzzed with an inquiry a week later. Shipping creates surface area for luck. Some finishing stalls are actually disguised beginnings. You're trying to polish because your frame is foggy. When that happens, run the clarity cascade. It's a 3-sentence cascade you write at the top. This exists to help person do /no verb phrase. The 3 things they need first are A, B, C. The 1 thing I refuse to do is X. The cascade hands your RAS a North Star. If a beautiful paragraph doesn't serve A, B, or C, it waits. If your fingers itch to add X, your cascade says no without bile. That's how values make speed. Sensory beat. Look far for 20 seconds, out a window or at the farthest corner of the room, then return your gaze to 1 word. You just relaxed your eye muscles, and with them, a piece of your mind that clenches when the world shrinks to a screen. Finishing likes wide fields and narrow lanes. Give it both. Now the feedback firewall under fire from a different angle. You receive a review that stings, someone misreads your intent, or latches onto a tone you haven't tuned yet. You feel heat rise near your ears, a hollowness under your ribs. Run the 90-second weather, then the label and land. Heat in face, feet on floor. Then route the feedback through the 3 gates. Timing, is this the right stage for this comment? If no, you thank them and schedule it for review seat. Target, does this hit the questions you asked? If not, you ask for answers to the questions. Tone, is it actionable? If not, you request a specific suggestion or you ignore it kindly. This isn't arrogance, it's architecture. You do not let every voice drive your work car. You offer them a passenger seat when the route is set. A hallway story. Priyanka, an analyst, sent a draft to her VP and got back. Not compelling. Old Priyanka would have spiraled. New Priyanka replied with the firewall, thanks, helpful to know. For this stage, I'm targeting sequence and clarity. 2 quick questions. Does the story arc from problem to cost to path land, and is any crucial risk missing? 1 suggestion you'd make. The VP wrote back 2 sentences and 1 suggestion. Priyanka adjusted the arc and scheduled tone polish for the review seat. The words, not compelling, lost their claws. She kept moving. Finishing needs closure rituals that feel like kindness, not like slamming a door. That's where the green dot release comes in. When you ship, you place a literal green dot, emoji, stamp, sticker, next to the capsule entry in your momentum ledger. It's a small mark that tells your basal ganglia, loop closed. Over weeks, the green dots become a constellation you can look at when doubt drives a slow night. The constellation argues with the one voice you can't block, the old inner narrator that claims you don't finish. Evidence wins, you sleep better. Notice the small hum in your room. Notice the coolness on your ankles, the warmth on your thighs, the way your shirt brushes your shoulders when you breathe. Finishing is not a head game. It is a choreography you can run by feel when thought gets loud. You'll also install the renegotiation script for promises you can't keep exactly as framed. You will break at least 1 deadline. The script is clean and short. I can deliver X by new time or Y by earlier time, which serves you. You send it before the deadline passes, not after. You attach your feedback firewall questions if needed. This prevents shame from clogging your runway. Shame is sticky. Scripts are solvent. A team story where shipping saved sanity. A small startup, already behind schedule, had 3 features half done. The CEO kept adding scope as small requests. The team adopted finish-first framework for 2 sprints. Frame, freeze, flow, clean room decisions only with firewalls on review. They soft-shipped features behind flags and flipped them public after 1 review seat pass. Scope creep tried to pry open the freeze. The team held. The release went out. The CEO saw a real thing, not a roadmap doc. The appetite for small requests shrank when reality had edges. Focus scaled because finishing did. There will be days when you want to quit in the last 5 minutes. You will declare almost done and somehow spend 40 minutes sanding a corner no one will touch. That's when you use the 5-minute fork. Set a 5-minute timer. At the beep, either you ship the frame or you choose a conscious polish pass with a review seat scheduled. The fork keeps you from living in the mushy middle where time evaporates. Return to sensation. Put your hand on your chest and feel the slow press and lift. Whisper, finish first. Picture the file saved, the capsule updated, the green dot placed. After the ship, you stand, you look far, you take one sip of water like a toast to steadiness. These small rites convince ancient circuits that the hunt ended and the village is fed. Then you rest or you begin the next brick, but you don't hover. Sometimes finishing requires courage because shipping invites judgment. You will build courage like a craft with the exposure ladder. You start with 5 gentle ships to safe audiences, then 5 to broader ones. Each rung you pair with the 90-second weather rule and the feedback firewall. Write down the bodily sensations before and after. Over time, the graph changes, heart rate spikes shrink, breath drops sooner, the time to re-enter work after shipping narrows. Courage, measured in minutes back to flow, becomes a number you can respect, not a mood you wait for. A closing story that threads it all. Helena, a researcher, sat on a paper for 6 months. Every time she read the discussion section, she felt the heat of imagined reviewers. We cut the paper to frame, used Clarity Cascade to tighten purpose, and set a ship window with a 2-stage publish. Preprint first, journal submission next month. She wrote a feedback firewall with 2 questions. She used the exposure ladder by presenting the work to a friendly lab before the preprint. She felt the heat, labeled and landed, then ran finish first with an 85% rule. She uploaded. Her hands shook. She placed a green dot. She slept. 2 days later, a colleague wrote, "This solves my problem." Her chest expanded in a way you don't forget. The next paper didn't become easy, it became finishable. Live run now. Write your 1-sentence definition of done for a real piece. Whisper the finish line finder. Freeze scope for this session. Flow from start to stop, allowing 1 sweep only. When you hit the last line, breathe out for 8 twice and speak your Endstate Echo. Open your feedback firewall and attach 2 questions. Soft ship if that's your stage. Place the green dot. Stand, look far, sip water. Feel the weight redistribute in your feet. Proud, quiet, earned. You are the awareness that closes loops. Weather can roar, inboxes can swarm, opinions can arrive uninvited. You frame, you freeze, you flow, you route feedback through gates instead of swallowing it whole. You ship and then you care in the right chair at the right time. This is not about pleasing everyone. It's about honoring the work by letting it reach the world where it can breathe and help and live. Unshakable focus isn't just attention at the start, it's courage at the end. Today, you practiced both. You've learned to start, sustain, and ship. Now you'll learn to last. Endurance isn't a personality trait, it's maintenance you schedule before you need it. The athletes who stay on the field longest don't train hardest, they recover smartest. In this chapter, you'll install the weekly focus reset and the rest architecture so your attention renews like a tide instead of draining like a battery. You're not chasing peak, you're building seasons. When patience becomes part of your operating system, focus stops being a sprint you dread and becomes a rhythm your body trusts. The weekly focus reset, WFR, is a 30-40 minute ritual every 7 days that clears residue and sets rails. 4 moves, 1 word each: review, reduce, resequence, recommit. Review is where you read your momentum ledger, evidence album, and promise ledger for the last 7 days and write 3 lines. Edges crossed, friction met, repairs used. Reduce is subtractive surgery. Cancel, delegate, or downgrade 2 commitments that don't serve your north this week. Resequence is moving the right work to the right windows, prime to peaks, support to troughs, play where curiosity naturally rises. Recommit is 1 sentence you sign: this week I will build X in 2 prime blocks and let the world be the world. The WFR is not planning theater, it's nervous system hygiene. Your amygdala relaxes when it sees the week has edges. Your prefrontal cortex smiles when the hard things have homes. Run the micro drill once with me. Review, skim the last 5 momentum ledger entries, circle one pattern you respect. Maybe it's returned after drift 3 times. Reduce, pick one meeting you can decline or cut to 15 minutes and one lingering task you convert into a support block brick or archive entirely. Resequence, move one high-impact brick to your best 90 minutes tomorrow. Recommit, write the single-sentence vow at the top of your doc. Whisper it with a long exhale. Feel the air cool your lips, warm your throat, and slide into your belly. That temperature shift is your body hearing, "We have a map." Notice where you sit. The chair carries your weight, not the other way around. Your jaw can unclench by a seed's width. The light on your desk makes one patch of wood a shade brighter. Let your eyes rest there for a breath, then return. Your hands have a quiet hum in them. That hum is readiness, not pressure. Next, the rest architecture. Rest that restores has 3 layers: passive, active, and deep idle. Passive rest is the easy, everyday layer: sleep, quiet breaks, soft gaze. Active rest is deliberate, stretching, slow walks, casual play that asks your body to move without scoreboard. Deep idle is sacred, empty space, no inputs, no agenda, 20 to 45 minutes of doing nothing in particular. Most people try to find flow on an overstuffed nervous system. Your rest architecture drains the stale water so flow can refill. You'll implement the 3-2-1 guardrail to protect passive rest. 3 daylight exposures totaling 20 minutes, 2 hours between your last heavy meal and sleep, 1 hour of screens down or tinted to amber before bed. Pair it with a night gate script that closes the day gently. Close loops I can, name the one I can't, leave a breadcrumb line, lights down. This is not self-help folklore, it's chemistry. Light and meal timing teach your circadian clock when to release alertness and when to invite melatonin. Screens off lowers cortical chatter. Naming the one loop you can't close keeps your amygdala from pacing in the hallway. For active rest, schedule a 15-minute reset walk after your longest prime block. Walk as if you're late to nothing. Let your eyes look at the farthest objects you can find: trees, rooftops, the end of a corridor. On the minute, take a slow exhale and whisper one identity line: "I am the steady builder." Movement pumps fresh blood to a brain that's been sitting in its own soup. Your ideas often arrange themselves while your feet lift and land. That isn't magic. It's the vestibular system lending a hand. Deep idle is the layer modern minds find hardest. You'll adopt the Sabbath 45-minute slot per week, where you stare at nothing particular, hum, doodle, step outside, or sit near a window without podcasts, messages, or timelines. At minute 10, your mind will itch. At minute 20, it may tantrum. At minute 30, it will soften. On the other side, your next prime block arrives with less desperation, because you've reminded your nervous system that existence doesn't depend on constant input. Deep idle is the compost pile. Ideas rot there and return as rich soil for the weak. A story where this saved someone from quitting their own project. Marco, a developer turned founder, had run 7 straight weeks of late-night coding. His product moved, his chest tightened. He began to wake at 3:18 a.m., mind sprinting on a treadmill going nowhere. We installed the rest architecture. Guardrail nightly, a reset walk after his morning prime, Sabbath 45 on Sundays with his phone in a drawer. He added WFRs on Mondays: review, reduce, resequence, recommit. In 2 weeks, the 3:18 wake-ups faded. He kept shipping. He told me his brain felt like a room with open windows again. Same work, different air. Sensory checkpoint. The skin near your temples is cooler than your cheeks. Your feet press the floor with a pressure that has a center, not just edges. You taste whatever lingers in your mouth, coffee, toothpaste, nothing. When you exhale for 6 and your belly softens, your shoulders listen. Endurance also demands calibration. Enter the load-deload cycle. You'll work in 3-week ramps, 1-week ease. For 3 weeks, you keep prime blocks at 2 per day on your chosen days. On the 4th, you drop to 1 prime per day and open a curiosity slot where you read, tinker, or explore adjacent ideas without deliverables. This 3-1 cycle prevents micro-exhaustion from hardening into burnout. Muscles grow during recovery. Attention does too. During deload week, you keep rituals but lighten weights. You still dock, still wrap, still log edges. You just aim at smaller bricks and wider eyes. Tie this to the burnout dashboard, 3 dials you check in the WFR: irritability, inertia, and insomnia. Rate each 0-3. If your sum hits 5 or more for 2 weeks, you trigger a safety protocol. Cut 1 prime block for 5 weekdays, replace with active rest. Move 1 support item off your plate. Schedule 2 deep idle slots. Inform 1 collaborator you're in repair mode. You're not asking permission to be human. You're protecting the asset that does the work, your nervous system. Pause and scan your chest. Is it tight or roomy? Your throat narrow or open? Your eyes narrowed or wide? Let 1 exhale be audible like fogging glass. Place a hand over your sternum. That contact tells ancient circuits, a friendly agent is here. Now weave WFR with your boundaries. In the reduce step, consult your promise ledger and publicly renegotiate anything missequenced before it becomes guilt. Use your renegotiation script. I can deliver X by Friday noon or Y by Wednesday evening, which serves you. In resequence, place flex windows before lunch and late afternoon to handle quick asks. In recommit, write your focus contract at the top of each prime block. Create, refine, or decide on X. Let the world be the world. Maintenance isn't glamorous, it's trustworthy. Trust is the foundation of flow. A home story because endurance lives there too. Salma, a nurse and parent, used to crash after late shifts and then rage clean, numbing with scrolls at midnight. We installed the 3-2-1 guardrail, a night gate script, 3 dishes, 1 list, lights down, and a Sabbath 45 on her balcony. Her WFR included a reduce move. She cut 1 volunteer meeting and moved another to her play block. In 4 weeks, her attention didn't become cinematic. It became available. Her kid noticed she looked at him longer when he talked. That small look is what this is for. Sensory bead. The air moves across the fine hairs on your forearms. That sensation is proof you're here. The chair supports the back of your thighs. Adjust until weight is even. Let your tongue rest heavy at the floor of your mouth. Feel the breath travel at the pace of a slow tide. You are not a head strapped to a screen. You are a body with an engine that needs oil and intervals. You'll add the micro-closure ritual to end each weekday. 3 doors. Door 1, work. Update your context capsule and place a breadcrumb line. Door 2, body. 2 slow breaths, 1 stretch, 1 glass of water. Door 3, life. 1 text of appreciation, 1 tiny tidying move. Closing these doors takes 2 minutes and changes your evening, which changes your morning. The brain craves endings. Give it 3 that support the next day's beginnings. Calibrating meaning weekly prevents ambition from corroding into compulsion. Use the compass refresh, 1-minute check of your focus compass during the WFR. Whisper north, east, south, west, and adjust a word if the week taught you something. Maybe west shifts from comparison to overhelping. Maybe east gains music without words. Your compass is a living tool, not a carved stone. Living things get pruned to grow. A story from a studio with sawdust on the floor. June, a furniture maker, kept pushing through minor injuries because artists suffer. We mapped a load-deload cycle onto her calendar with bright tape, 3 weeks of full build pace, 1 week of template making and sketching. We added the burnout dashboard to her WFR. When scores reached 5, she swapped a prime block for a walk with a friend. Her production stabilized. More importantly, her love for the craft returned. Suffering wasn't a badge, it was a lake she sealed. Your biology keeps voting. Vote with it. Morning light calibrates your clock. Afternoon movement flushes your head. Evening guardrails return you to animal simplicity. The energy triforce you learned, breath, light, motion, now sits inside the rest architecture. On deload weeks, you increase active rest and keep passive rest sacred. On ramp weeks, you protect deep idle like a temple. No one will clap for you. Your future self will. Notice the smell of paper, wood, or the faint metallic of electronics. Notice the shape of your breath. Notice the way your shoulders decide to unhunch when you tell them they can. This is the maintenance that looks like nothing and changes everything. 2 microdrills to anchor endurance. First, gratitude in shadow. Once per WFR, write 1 sentence of gratitude for a frustrating thing because of what it trained. Grateful for the delayed shipment. Train my renegotiation script. This reframes without denial and nudges your RAS toward agency. Second, the recovery ratio. For every 90 minutes of deep work, schedule 15 minutes of some form of rest, passive, active, or deep idle. Log the ratio once at week's end. If you're below 6, 1/5 days, you'll feel it in your dashboard. Adjust before your body enforces a shutdown. A scene where the recovery ratio prevented a spiral. Dev, a PhD candidate, hit 3-1 during a sprint and began snapping at peers. His WFR flagged it. The next week he enforced 6-1, added 2 deep idle slots, and moved 1 seminar prep to support. The snapping stopped. His work didn't slow, it smoothed. He didn't become softer, he became sustainable. Identity turn. I am the awareness that maintains. Say it with a long exhale. The sentence fits the body like a coat that finally matches the weather you live in. You are not the hero who overcomes. You are the caretaker who endures. Builders who endure make more, love longer, and sleep like people with nothing to prove. A tiny science bridge because it helps you trust the boring. Neuroplasticity consolidates during sleep. Your hippocampus files and your cortex integrates. Without passive rest, you literally can't keep what you learned. Without active rest, stress chemicals linger. Your amygdala keeps declaring a state of emergency. Without deep idle, your default mode network, the part that knits meaning, never gets the room to roam. The rituals aren't rituals because they're cute. They're rituals because your brain is a biological thing that loves cycles more than slogans. Before we close, run a live weekly focus reset in 3 minutes. Review, write 3 lines, edges, friction, repairs, reduce, remove 1 commitment, downgrade 1 expectation. Resequence, move 1 crucial brick to your brain's best 90 minutes. Schedule 1 reset walk, block your Sabbath 45. Recommit. This week I will build X in 2 prime blocks and let the world be the world. Now fast install your rest architecture for the next 2 days. 3-2-1 guardrail tonight, a reset walk tomorrow, and a 10-minute deep idle trial the day after. Put them on the calendar where your eyes will meet them. Feel your chair, feel your breath. Feel the small pride that rises not from a dramatic vow but from a practical plan. Maintenance is identity in motion. When you maintain, you become the kind of person whose focus doesn't depend on mood, weather, or luck. You're not trying to be a statue in the storm. You're tending a lighthouse with regular oil and quiet steps. The beam stays on because you keep it so. One last sensory beat. The room's quiet is not silence. It's layers you rarely notice, air moving, a distant bird, your own breath. Your hands are warmer than the desk. Your eyelids weigh just enough to remind you you're embodied. Let that embodiment be your ally. You will rise from this chair and live a day. In that day, you will use energy and restore it on purpose. You will run your systems and respect their limits. You will leave a breadcrumb line and a green dot. You will return. That is what lasting feels like. Unflashy, repeated, powerful. You are the awareness that lasts. You build, you rest, you reset, you resume. The world stays loud, you stay rhythmic. This is not about chasing motivation. It's about honoring seasons. The garden you tend will keep giving because you water on schedule and let the soil breathe. You've built endurance. Now you'll scale your focus so it survives bigger bets, louder seasons, and public stakes. This isn't about doing more. It's about making your attention anti-fragile, gaining strength from stress instead of cracking under it. In this chapter, you'll install the minimum viable day and the Keystone Scenes method so even chaotic weeks still move your future forward. Then you'll learn the signal sharing protocol, the way to enroll collaborators, leaders, or family into your operating system without preaching. Last, you'll begin the identity bank, because long arc focus relies on deposits you can draw from when belief feels thin. This is the integration chapter, the place where your private rituals become a way of living that bends with you and doesn't break. Begin with the minimum viable day, MVD. When life swells and the calendar looks like a mosaic of obligations, most people choose all or nothing, and nothing wins. MVD is the smallest repeatable day that still advances the work. Define it in 3 sentences you can execute even when sleep was short or travel is messy. Sentence 1, 1 prime brick in 25 minutes. Sentence 2, 1 focus recovery ladder climb when drift hits. Sentence 3, 1 micro closure ritual at night, capsule, breath, breadcrumb, that's it. If you hit MVD, the day counts. Your basal ganglia learn there is no zero. Momentum isn't a mood, it's a floor you protect. Make it tactile now. Choose your 25-minute brick for tomorrow. Write it as a 2-word target and paste it at the top of your dock. Decide the time window with a witness, calendar alert, friend text, or sticky on a kettle. Decide where the ladder lives, printed card, phone note, or a single line taped to your monitor. Breathe, orient, micro-win, recommit. Decide your micro-closure, capsule plus 2 long exhales plus breadcrumb line. You've just drawn the outline of a day that can't be taken from you by noise, only by neglect. Notice your body. The chair meets the back of your thighs. Shift until weight distributes evenly. Your shoulders lower 1 notch when you let your exhale last a second longer. The tongue rests heavy, friendly. The room's air has a temperature, cool near the ankles, warmer near the chest. Sensing turns a loud future into a quiet now. From here, you can choose your floor. Now for the Keystone Scenes method. Big goals die when they remain concepts. Keystone Scenes turn them into moments in time you can rehearse and build toward. You'll pick 3 scenes that, if real, would prove the project is alive. A user clicks submit on the new flow and the success toast appears. An editor reads the 3rd paragraph and nods. A teammate runs the script and watches a green test. Each scene gets a 60-second micro-story you can describe with senses and a short path of bricks that make the scene inevitable. Scenes focus your RAS on proof instead of fantasy. Your brain starts hunting for steps that make the scene come true. Choose one project and write a keystone scene now in a sentence you can feel. In a quiet cafe, I watch the email notification. Accepted. My shoulders drop, the corner of my mouth lifts. The paper title looks right in the subject line. Then tie 3 bricks. Submit by Friday. Ask Priya for risk check. Finish figures with rough labels first. Post the scene at the top of your doc, above the context capsule. The scene becomes your north that fits inside a day. You're not chasing an aura, you're building toward a picture. Story field tested. Jonah, the new father you met before, carried a novel like a rucksack he never opened. He wrote in bursts, then vanished for weeks. We built an MVD 20 minutes after the morning nap, 1 ladder when drift hit, 1 micro closure at night. Then 3 keystone scenes. Hear a friend read chapter 1 and laugh in the kitchen. Hold a printed proof. Open an email from a small press with yes. He taped the scenes above the kettle. The book didn't explode into being, it accreted. On mornings when the night had been choppy, he touched MVD and walked taller. 8 months later, he held the proof, not because he became tireless, because he refused 0. Sensory checkpoint. The light in your space has a color, honey, steel, fluorescent ghost. Your ribs widen as if you're quietly surprised, then they fall. Your fingertips buzz faintly when you rub thumb against index finger. Your awareness returns to the room, and the room stops feeling like a threat. The animal calms, the builder steps forward. You've built yourself into someone reliable. Now you'll broadcast it without lecturing anyone. The signal sharing protocol is how you make your operating system legible so others can help you keep it. There are 3 parts: a flag, a fence, and a forum. The flag is a simple artifact shared weekly that lists your prime blocks, your keystone scene for the week, and your flex windows. It might be a calendar share, a Slack status, or a note on a fridge. The fence is your boundary beacon plus 1 public script. I'm in a build window 9, 10, 30 and 1, 2, 30. Quick asks land in the 11, 45 or 4, 15 window. The forum is a 15-minute Monday check-in with whoever needs to coordinate, where you ask 2 questions. What brick from me unlocks you, and what brick from you unlocks me? Short, precise, kind. Your amygdala relaxes when social ambiguity drops. Teams relax when expectations are plain. A story from a bigger room. Renee, a senior PM, felt flayed by meetings. Her calendar looked like a Lego spill. She introduced the signal sharing protocol to her triad, engineering laid and design laid. The flag lived in a shared dock with her prime windows and weekly keystone scene. Live user test of revised onboarding Friday 3 p.m. The fence was her beacon line and 2 office hours. The forum took 10 minutes on Mondays with 2 unlocked questions. Within 2 weeks, Slack pings dropped and quality of asks rose. She no longer arrived home with a throat like a fist. Shipping improved not because people changed, because signals did. Notice your breath. Inhale as if smelling a book you love. Exhale as if fogging a small window on a winter bus. Your shoulders descend by 1 click. Your eyes soften to the room's edges and return. Biology follows signal. Keep sending the right ones. The identity bank is your long arc stabilizer. Each deposit is a small proof that you are who you say you are. I am the clear writer. I am the steady coder. I am the kind builder. At the end of each week, you make 3 deposits, 1 evidence line, what you did, 1 endure line, how you kept going, and 1 extend line, how your work served beyond you. Example, evidence 3 chapters drafted. Endure ran ladder twice on a hard morning. Extend shared the focus field with a teammate, they shipped. In thin seasons, you withdraw by reading 10 deposits aloud. Your RAS turns toward continuity. Your amygdala learns that identity is earned and safe. Begin that bank now. Create a page titled Identity Bank. Write today's 3 lines. Say them aloud with your palm on your chest. Feel what happens behind your eyes when your voice and your breath agree about who you are. This isn't a pep talk, it's a counting. Sensory beat. Feel the seam in your clothing where it meets your neck. The fabric has a texture you usually ignore. The table under your wrists has a temperature cooler than your skin. You're here. The future can visit later. Next, you'll install the long game lattice. Goals alone are brittle. Lattices support vines through seasons. Your lattice has 3 verticals: craft, health, relationships, and 3 crossbeams: season, system, scene. For each vertical, you write 1 season intention, the system that supports it, and the keystone scene that proves it. Craft. Season, release V1. System, prime blocks plus finish first. Scene, user clicks, success. Health, season, steady energy. System, rest, architecture plus energy triforce. Scene, 3 mornings in a row waking without an alarm. Relationships. Season, be present. System, signal sharing plus flex window plus quiet hour covenant. Scene, partner smiles and says, I felt you here today. You look at the lattice in your weekly focus reset. If a vine goes wild, you add a beam. If you're overwatering one, you rebalance without drama. A household scene where the lattice saved a stormy month. Val and Noor had a newborn and 2 careers. Sleep turned to confetti. They sketched a long game lattice on a whiteboard. Craft. Val's season, ship chapter draft. System MVD, scene email to editor in sent box. Health. Walks with stroller. System 321 guardrail. Scene 2 afternoons with a nap that took. Relationships. Speak like teammates. System beacon plus flex window. Scene 2 15-minute couch check-ins. They missed days. They returned. The lattice held them like hands at their backs. Notice the soundscape. A hum you barely hear. A bird syllable. A car's damped growl. The room asks nothing of you but presence. Your breath answers. There's a trap as you scale. Complexity creep, where you add frameworks until your day becomes a museum of methods. To avoid it, practice the rule of 3. At any time, you run at most 3 core tools as your spine, and the rest are backups. Today, your spine might be docking plus MVD plus finish first. Next month, Window-Widen plus flow threshold plus momentum ledger. Rotation keeps your rituals alive and your ego from turning them into display pieces. Simplicity is a form of mercy. You'll also build the storm rehearsal. Once per month, you simulate a chaotic morning, delayed train, urgent email, poor sleep. Then you practice a 15-minute recovery, focus recovery ladder, 2 renegotiation scripts, 1 MVD brick, micro closure at night. By rehearsing in calm, you teach your nervous system that storms are weather, not verdicts. When the real squall hits, your hands move like a firefighter through smoke. An anecdote at altitude. Lynn, a consultant who flew weekly, ran storm rehearsals in hotel rooms. Alarm failed. She docked in 90 seconds and touched the MVD brick before showering. Client pinged with a vague urgent. She invoked the renegotiation script with options and slotted the ask into a flex window. Flight delayed. She ran a focus field at the gate. Noise cancel, page full screen, 12-minute commitment. Her colleagues asked about her willpower. She smiled. It was choreography, not grit. Another sensory beat. The skin along your temples cools when you tilt your chin slightly down and lengthen the back of your neck. The space behind your eyes feels roomier when your exhale lengthens. These are small hinges, doors swing on them. To carry the work across years, you need a way to sense the arc without drowning in metrics. Enter the annual storyboard, 12 frames, one per month. At month's end, you sketch a sentence on a sticky for each frame. January installed docking, shipped 2 edges. April deload week, saved energy. September storm rehearsal, paid off during move. This storyboard sits where you can see it. You aren't counting hours, you're narrating progress. Narration reduces randomness. Meaning beats math at keeping you faithful. The narrative turn shows up again here. This is not about velocity, it's about direction and continuity. Whisper it when impatience rises. You're building highways, not fireworks. Fireworks are loud and gone. Highways carry families and freight year after year. Now fold the signal sharing protocol into leadership. If you manage others, run a focus round in team meetings. Each person names one keystone scene for the week and one boundary signal. You model the renegotiation script. You praise green dots, ships, and recovery, not heroics. Culture follows what's praised. Your team's attention becomes an asset on the balance sheet. No one writes, but everyone feels. Story in a fast-moving org. Ravi led a data team swamped by exec asks. He started focus rounds. He sent a flag with his prime windows and keystone scene. He used the feedback firewall upward, 2 sentences and 1 suggestion. Within a quarter, his team shipped fewer miracles and more rhythms. Volatility dropped. Turnover eased. He didn't get a parade. He got a team that could breathe. Notice your breath again. Inhale quietly. Exhale with a soft whew, like fogging glass. Feel the sternum warm under your palm. Your body is convinced by repetition and relief. Give it both. Let's unify with a live integration drill, the arc minute. Set 60 seconds. Whisper your MVD sentences. Point to one keystone scene and say one sensory detail. Name one boundary signal you'll share today. Add one identity bank deposit from the last 24 hours. Breath out for 6. Begin the smallest brick. The arc minute compresses the chapter into a daily spark plug. It keeps your engine honest. You will still face days that wobble your belief. That is when the identity bank matters most, and when you say your identity line, I am the awareness that chooses the smallest honorable next. The honorable part keeps you aligned, the smallest keeps you moving. Faith in yourself doesn't arrive like weather, it accrues like interest. Deposits matter more than speeches. Another story, quiet and true. Esme, a nurse practitioner writing clinical guidelines, lost her father midway through the project. Grief turned her days to fog. She fell back to MVD, 1 brick, 1 ladder, 1 micro-closure. Keystone Scenes shrank, send 1 section to colleague. Signal sharing with her laid. Flag with reduced prime windows, fence with a clear building, lamp, forum with 2 unlocked questions. Identity bank deposits were humble, showed up for 15 minutes. 12 weeks later, she shipped. The guidelines helped a rural clinic reduce errors. Esme didn't muscle through grief. She moved with it and kept a floor. That is anti-fragile attention, the kind that returns with a gift. Sensory checkpoint before we land. The chair presses your sit bones equally now. Your hands are warmer than the desk. The room has a scent, paper, coffee, something clean. Your eyes can look far to a corner and return. You are here. Here is where bricks live. Close with a compact weave for tomorrow. Write your MVD on a sticky and place it where your morning eyes will go. Sketch 1 keystone scene in a sentence and place it above your context capsule. Choose 1 person to share your flag with, tell them your flex windows. Make 1 identity bank deposit. Run a storm rehearsal for 90 seconds. Breathe, orient, micro-in, recommit. Whisper your identity line, then rest. You don't need to be dramatic to be unstoppable. You need floors you don't fall through. and scenes you can see even in rain. You are the awareness, not the weather. Weather teaches your systems, systems teach your identity, identity guides your seasons. The garden grows because you water on schedule, stake the vines, and let storms prune what they must. Anti-fragile attention isn't a suit of armor, it's a living trellis. You're building it now calmly, brick by brick and breath by breath. The systems are in your hands now. You can start on purpose, widen your window, run through storms, and land with grace. The final turn is quieter and larger. You'll decide who you become as you use these tools for years, and how your way of focusing changes the rooms you enter. This chapter gives you two last frameworks and one vow. The frameworks are the legacy loop and the transfer protocol. The vow is the builder's oath. You'll also learn a closing drill, the golden thread, so the person you're being and the work you're doing braid into something durable, even when life spins you. The legacy loop is not about fame, it's about continuity. It has 3 motions you'll run at the end of each meaningful cycle: learn, lift, leave. Learn is your after-action alchemy, a 10-minute reflection translated into one principle you can carry. Lift is where you make the path easier for the next person, future you or someone else, by codifying the principle into a tool, a note, a template. Leave is the generous exit where you mark what to ignore, what to keep, and what to question next time. Learning changes you, lifting changes your field, leaving cleanly changes your future. The loop is how you convert focus into culture, starting with the culture inside your own chest. Run the learn step now in miniature. Think of one session recently when attention felt like a river. Name the principle that made it flow. Start ugly is faster than arguing. Or scope freezes fear. Write it in one sentence at the top of your doc. That sentence is your signal flare. Your RAS will look for it next time. Feel your shoulders shift a notch downward as you name it. That micro drop is your nervous system saving energy by trusting a map you just drew. Lift turns that sentence into rails someone else can touch. You turn start ugly into a rough start template, a page with a title line, 3 brutal headers, and a note at the top that says 12 minutes before judging. You turn scope freezes fear into a definition of done checklist for your team. You turn brick before browse into a sticker on a laptop. Tiny artifacts lower friction. The brain worships ease. You're not indoctrinating. You're leaving handles in places you used to slip. Leave is where you practice tidy endings. You list 3 lines: ignore, keep, question. Ignore any advice that made me tighten my jaw. Keep the 1 screen rule. Question, is my 5% stretch still 5 or has it become 10? You paste the 3 lines at the top of your momentum ledger for the next cycle. The amygdala calms when it sees a container. Your future won't be cleaner because you wish it. It will be cleaner because you label the bins. Notice your body. Your inhale cools the inside of your nose. Your exhale warms the space above your upper lip. There's a temperature difference between your forearms and your palms. Your back meets the chair like a tide settling into a cove. Attention keeps returning to sensation because sensation is the dock where you tie your boat. Now the transfer protocol. Focus grows stronger when shared carefully. This protocol lets you teach your way without sermons. 3 stages: model, mirror, multiply. Model is you working in the open for 15 minutes, narrating the smallest pieces. Docking now: posture, pulse, phrase, page, 2-word target, intro rough. 12-minute commitment starts. Your colleague or friend watches a human, not a hero. Mirror is the brief exchange where they try it and you reflect back what you saw, targeting one behavior to keep. Your 1-sentence Endstate Echo was crisp. Multiply is an invitation, not an order. Run a flow minute before our next session and paste your capsule at the top. Behavior spreads when it feels doable and alive. This is how a studio, a team, or a household begins to hum. A story from a small non-profit where this changed a hallway. Keisha, operations lead, had learned the docking maneuver and finish first. She began modeling a focus round at the top of her check-ins. North today, dignity and speed. Brick, grant budget V1, Endstate, rough lines in the sheet, capsule updated. She asked her teammate to mirror for 5 minutes. They multiplied with a shared clean room doc and a brick requests channel. In a month, the office sound shifted. There was still laughter and clatter. There was also a visible cadence of starts and raps. Donors didn't hear this music. The staff felt it in their shoulders. Identity goes last because it lasts longest. Here is your builder's oath, spoken out loud with a long exhale. I will make honest things in small, steady ways. I will treat my body as my ally. I will finish first and polish in the right chair. I will widen the window when it narrows. I will be decent when I drift and bold when I freeze. I will leave clean rooms behind me. I am the awareness, not the weather. You don't need to memorize it. You need to feel its temperature and say 2 lines of it on days when the room tilts. Your prefrontal cortex loves vows that come with breath. Vows without breath are poetry that evaporates. Let's place your oath inside your body. Sit 1 inch taller. Let your shoulders slide down by a click. Exhale for 6 until your belly softens. Whisper, I am the awareness, not the weather. Notice what changes in your chest. Your tongue rests lower. The space behind your eyes feels roomier. Your pulse smooths. Identity is posture with a sentence attached. You'll add 1 last drill, the golden thread. Each morning you name 1 thread that will run through the day, a single value word and a single action verb. Kind plus build, clear plus finish, steady plus return. You write the pair at the top of your doc and on a small card. Before each prime block, you touch the card, run the flow minute, and whisper the pair. At night, you ask, did I let the thread run? The golden thread is a vow shrunk to something your hands can hold. Your brain doesn't need an essay at 9 a.m. It needs a north and a verb. Here's how this looks in a life with edges. Matteo, who finally learned guitar, chose gentle plus practice for a week. Each morning he touched the card, docked, 12 minutes before critique. 1 sweep, finish first on a simple song. Each night he placed a green dot and wrote, thread held or thread frayed. At the end of the week, he could hear smoothness where there had been grit. The music made its way into the kitchen while dinner simmered. Focus is not a glare. It's a thread you run through the day so moments hold together. You might wonder after all this whether you'll ever wake up lost again. You will. The loss will last minutes, not months. You have an MVD for loud days, a ladder for low ones, a gate script for glittering traps, a finish first for the last mile, a rest architecture for seasons, a compass for meaning, a flow threshold for entry, a momentum ledger for proof, a legacy loop for continuity, a transfer protocol for company, and an oath for the person who uses them. This is not over-engineering. This is a humane instrument set, tuned to biology and carried in your pocket. Pause and check your senses 1 more time. The chair supports the back of your thighs. The air has a faint smell, paper, dust, metal, rain. Your eyelids weigh just enough to remind you that they exist. When you lengthen your exhale by 1 count, your chest loosens. The animal relaxes. The builder chooses. A final story to fold it all together. Lani, a senior nurse preparing to lead a new clinic, hit a month where her calendar was a mosaic of meetings and emergencies. Old Lani would have sprinted until she cracked. She wrote an MVD on a sticky, one 25-minute brick, one ladder, one micro-closure. She chose a Keystone Scene. First patient checks out with clear instructions, team breathes. She ran the signal-sharing protocol with her LAID, flag with prime windows and flex times, beacon at her station. She used finish first on the onboarding checklist, the feedback firewall with the physician lead, and the two-chair method when her inner critic hammered her tone. Weekly focus resets kept her rails, rest architecture kept her pulse. The clinic opened. The first day was messy and alive. A patient left with clear instructions and a smile that looked like relief. Lanny stood by the door, hand on chest, 2 breaths, and updated her context capsule. We did it. Next, refined check-in script, limbic bookmark, calm and kind. The world didn't slow down. Her attention became a lighthouse. The beam held because she tended it. Now your turn, live and small. Whisper your golden thread. Run a flow minute. Subtract 1 noise from sight, 1 from sound. Adjust your seat by a centimeter. Write rough is correct at the top. Then say your CCC line. Clear target, 5% stretch, safe body. State your 2-word target. Start your 12-minute commitment. Touch 1 brick. When you stop, write a capsule, a breadcrumb, and place 1 green dot. Then stand, look far for 20 seconds, and drink 1 sip of water like a toast to the humane craft you're practicing. You are not waiting to become a different person. You are proving, brick by breath by vow, that you already are someone who can focus without wrestling willpower. You built an operating system that loves small beginnings, honest middles, and clean endings. You learn to widen the window when it narrows and to bless your effort when it wavers. You learn to finish first and polish with kindness. You learn to rest with as much intention as you work. You learn to share your signals so rooms steady around you. And you learn to leave notes your future will thank you for. There will be weeks when the weather in your mind is thunder. The thunder will pass. Your oath remains. Your rituals remain. Your garden grows because you keep showing up with a watering can and weather-appropriate clothes. You can feel your breath right now. You can feel your feet. You can name 1 brick. You can run the loop. You can arrive and arrive again and arrive again after that until the arriving looks like a life. That is unshakable focus. Not a jaw clenched against the world, but hands that know where the tools live, a chest that remembers how to soften, a mind that keeps choosing the smallest honorable next. Walk to your page, sit 1 inch taller, exhale longer than you think you need, whisper your line, begin, the beam turns, the work appears. The day meets you at the pace you set, and when it's time to stop, you will stop, leave the capsule, place the green dot, and go be a person who knows how to return. You know the way now.